Bobby, roast beef here, Jigs and friggin' Bigs. It's another amazing week, guys. We got all kinds of good stuff for you this week. This show is just a show. It's all about the twofers. All right, we got two FTGs lined up. We got two guests this week, guys. We got Justin from over at Chill Steel Pipes. If you're a fan of the fish whistle, you're really going to like this. But we also have AJ Beaudoin on the house. AJ is from Battlefish Charters, and you may remember him being on the show a couple of years back. We talked about his charter business. We have something brand new that's really going to benefit folks looking to get into the outdoors industry in a guide sort of a role. On top of that, this is especially good if you are a veteran, because that's sort of what this course is kind of tailored to. We're going to talk all about that stuff. That's coming up later in the show, guys. Not only that, we have two more other things, too. We got two more questions that came in for this week's Live Well segment that are from the one and only Eli Self. Guys, we will see you. We got so much good stuff to talk about. The slot limit tournament for June just got wrapped up. So much fun to be had here. Jigs and Bigs is your source for all your fishing entertainment. Go ahead and get yourself something delicious to enjoy, guys. We'll see you after this. Couple of jig heads in here. We might have some names that we don't normally hear from, Joe, this week, because I did post earlier that I was like, I kind of think I'm going to go ahead and drop a link in the Facebook group for the Jigs and Bigs community. And so I did.
Yeah.
Pop that link over there in the community so folks could go ahead and join in and get a little bit of that jig head sort of experience for themselves on a Monday afternoon, on a Monday evening. Joe, how's things going, man? It's been a while. You've been on the road.
I was on the road.
Yeah.
Did lots of fishing. We'll talk about that in a bit. But other than that, man, it's good. Hit the St. Lawrence River for probably one of the most epic days I've ever had fishing.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
It was wild. Funny stories, some good stories. 2 days of solid fishing, and then hit the road to go to my daughter's kindergarten graduation. So,
oh, that's right. That was this weekend, right?
No, it was. So I went up north Monday and Tuesday. Yep. Came home Tuesday night. Got home about 11:30, and then it was Wednesday,
gotcha.
Like at noon.
There you go, man.
So
hey, school's out.
Couldn't miss that. Dude. She's still in school, dude. They did it last week, but she's not out of school until.
Really?
Wednesday is her last day.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, man, I'm so glad school is out. My schedule has adjusted. We'll dive into that. John Higgins actually comments right here, and he goes, I think you need to recut the intro for the live well and have Eli do the intro. Like, the way it goes, we might as well just have him call in, do it live with us, and just whatever questions he's got on the top of his head,
right?
But I do like, because I have a feeling, having met Eli at this last Columbus Expo, I kind of feel like what happens is he gets this idea in his head, and he's just got us in his contacts, and he's like boop 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 boop, and he just goes with it. Yeah. And I'm here for that. I kind of wish more listeners felt that level of freedom to go ahead and make that call and go for it. Speaking of freedom, Joe, you are wearing a headband. That is, I am
wearing a headband.
You are wearing a headband. It is awesome. I was like, something's going on. Joe's about to crack open a sixer of Stroh's here or something. I don't know.
I was just feeling it, man. I was just feeling it. It's funny. I wear I wear these typically under my helmet at work if I have to wear that for whatever reason.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And I don't know. I was just feeling it today. You know what I mean? I was out doing feeding all the fucking raptors and outside, and I went and I did the watering of the greenhouse, and it was just like, I'm digging it.
I love that, man. That is badass. Hey, let's let everybody know what the hell Jigs and Bigs even is. If you're diving into this show for the first time, and here we are 5 minutes into it, and you're like, who are these amazing humans that I'm hearing talking about, and what's this about fishy content? You're in the right place. Jigs and Bigs is a morning show style podcast, really, and Joe and myself co-host this son of a bitch each and every week, dropping a new episode for you every Tuesday. We have a bunch of fun segments where we try to put stuff into the show that's kind of in compartments, so everybody gets a little what they want, but we talk about what's going on that's fishy in the community. We talk about our own fishing adventures, travel, all kinds of stuff, and everything that's adjacent to that. Plus some family stuff and all kinds of good stuff. We talk about gear. We talk about techniques, and we even take questions from our listeners and our jig heads. You might have, when I mentioned John Hagens, he's one of our jig heads, one of our Patreon followers. So as we record this, we're live streaming right now to an unlisted YouTube live, and our jig heads are able to be a part of the recording process and jump in and give feedback as we have the conversation. You can go to jigsandbigs.com to find your favorite platform to listen to Jigs and Bigs. We are on all the major podcast platforms. There are a couple of YouTube channels you should follow. There is a Jigs and Bigs YouTube where the podcast will appear there as well. But I generally put some content there. But go to American Vet Fishing on YouTube and all your other socials, and you can follow Joe straight up. And I say follow both because we both kind of put our own unique fishing content out there, and it definitely helps out. If you're looking for Jigs and Bigs merch, you really like what's going on here, that's available at jigsandbigs.com. And if you're looking for good deals on gear, whether it's more niche-y kind of like more custom craft sort of tackle, we've got Dark Horse Tackle promo codes available for you. We've got all kinds of stuff. Go ahead, check out all of our partners that are over there. Some really, really great ones. A-Bay, Reaction Tackle, Omnia Fishing, like all of them. They're all there. And jigsandbigs.com is just basically ground central. So let's dive in. My week is primarily going to focus heavily on the slot limit tournament. So Joe, if you want to jump in, if most of your fishing was earlier in the week, why don't you go ahead and start? Yeah.
So man, what a week, Bobby. What a week it was. I fished Monday and Tuesday. So let me back up. So Sunday afternoon, after I did some of the Father's Day stuff, hit the road up to the St. Lawrence River, about that 5-hour ride, and to meet the Fish or Die Bait Company crew for the content week. So what this essentially is, it's a week of those of us who have like essentially the Fish or Die sponsors, or we work with them. We go up there and just try to get as much content as we possibly can for Taylor with, with the socials, the website, and whatever else. He has a videographer, hired videographer. Mm-hmm. So he was hopping on our boat, on our boats. But so we get up there day one. We stayed at the Ship, which is run by awesome. Chris and Christina from A-Bay. So as always, getting to see them is always great because they're such solid, good people.
They're the greatest.
They're the greatest. We absolutely love them. Sunday night, and the butcher would just so happen to be up there. Ryan Bogley, he was up there, so it was. So I got to meet up with him, and that Sunday evening, we just kind of my friend Kevin who works with Fish or Die.
Yep.
They were up there Sunday night as well. So we kind of like hung out, had a couple adult beverages, had some food, and Monday morning we hit it. I was actually solo on the boat Monday.
All right.
Ryan, because somebody bailed on me when they listened to the show. His name might be Zechariah Fullard, who was supposed to be in the passenger seat. And he wasn't, so I was solo, netting all my fish by myself.
I saw that.
Dude, it was because you're running. We'll tell you, you're running such light stuff. You can't, and we're talking 4 or 5 pound smallies. You can't boat flip them, not with the stuff you're using. But anyway,
for sure.
So that first morning, dude, I hit it. I go out to a spot that. So they told me they were on beds. So these fish were on beds. We were like in the thick of it. I mean, they're like getting down to business on the beds. And we actually got some pretty awesome footage with the flogger, actually.
Yep.
I got some cool stuff where I can put my phone or my GoPro in there, and you can actually see like them doing the dance. Oh yeah, it's awesome, dude. I got some pretty cool footage.
Are you gonna end up on like a government list by watching? Are you gonna have to register?
Probably.
Okay, fair.
Probably. That's okay. I'm about to retire. It's okay.
Yeah. What a way to go out.
What a way to go out. But No, so I went to one spot and I was like, all right, so there's no beds here. The first spot I looked, it was actually a spot that Chris had showed me last year. And so I took a couple pokes in there and I was like, nah, this ain't the spot. And like I didn't really know at the time what I was looking for. I just kind of talked to Kevin a little bit. And because the last time we were here, the spawn the last year they were kind of early and the spawn was kind of done already.
Yeah. It was a very different spring last year.
Right. So I was like, all right, so let me go to this flat. I know, essentially the shoal, the flat. And dude, it looked like the surf. It looked like the moon, dude. There was just craters everywhere, beds. I mean, it was just like one bed after another, after another, after another.
It was like the Pines Motel on prom night.
Exactly. But dude, it's like, and that water's so clear. You're in like 12 to 15 feet of water, and you can still clearly see the beds.
That's the greatest, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. So I would just I would go up to a bed. I would, if it was in that 12 to 15 foot range, I could see the bed, no problem. But I couldn't tell if there was a fish on it with the chop and stuff. So then I throw the flogger in there, quickly determine, all right, there's a fish over on that one. So I'd toss out to it, but I was that whole time I was using the Fish or Die Gadsden most of the time, which is an awesome minnow bait. But I was using that and the sharpshooter, and then you know what else I got to see in action?
Yep.
Was that new shredder, the small version.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's not even released yet. It's not released yet, but yeah, they were loving that thing.
It's too badass, huh?
But I got to see that day 2 when Taylor was on my boat. But so dude, it was just literally almost 90% of the beds I flipped to, I grabbed a fish off of, and most beds had the male and the female on it.
Oh, really? You could double dip. That's great.
Yep. So, dude, it was crazy. You could see them in the footage. They were just circling each other, rolling like they were in it, dude. They were in it thick.
And there you are, like a thirsty 3-year-old interrupting the anniversary.
Dude,
night.
I was like a pedophile in the fucking looking through the window, dude, looking through the blinds, like with my flogger, dude. Like just,
dad.
Yeah, dude. All I could see is my nose and my eyes and the flogger. It's all fogging up. I'm just like,
I just want to take some pictures.
I'm just taking a quick video. So dude, so like right off the rip, dude, I caught one fish. I caught probably, over the 2 days, probably 30, 40 fish. I caught one that was under 3 pounds.
No shit.
I caught one under 3 pounds, and it was like 215, dude.
That's
biggest was, so that first day, so I catch the first one, it gets like a 3. My PB, like I go up there, I've always gone up there, caught like a ton of fish, never caught anything over 4 pounds.
Yeah.
My PB stood at like 3.9.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, first fish I catch was like 3.11 or something like that. So I immediately, like, my PB. The next one was like, I don't know, 4.1, something like that.
Oh, so you
beat it again.
Nice.
Beat it again. So, dude, I think it was a third or fourth fish. I'm actually on the phone with So I hook into a fish. I'm like, okay, this is a good one. I was like, this is another good one. As I'm doing it, Kevin calls me because they went to the lake. And they weren't like the spot they went to. They just were not. They were not. They were just. They couldn't find the beds where they were.
Gotcha.
So I'm on the phone with him fighting this fish, dude, and like actively talking. You'll see it. You guys will see it in the YouTube video I posted. You see me actively talking to him as I'm catching this fish. So I net it. Luckily, it was actually one of the easier ones to net. I get it up and 5 pounds, 4 ounces.
Yeah,
she was a big mom, a big female. So as soon as I told him that, I thought, so I know Ryan Bogley was with Kevin. He went out with Kevin because we're like, dude, like chill with us, kick it with us. Like him and Kevin hit it off real well.
Yep.
And I know he went out to the lake. So Bogley ended up coming back to the river. He met up with me. I kind of told him where I was. I know him and Dylan, I think, caught a couple around where I was. So I caught, I don't know, a bunch more fish there. And then I moved maybe like 300 yards to another flat. Same thing, dude. It was almost like a you go over this valley where it gets deep again. It comes right back up to another flat. Oh, and this spot that I caught all these fish, the first spot was the same spot that Jeremiah caught his first St. Lawrence smallmouth bass last year.
Oh no shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was the same spot, and I was sending him pictures. And you could see the thing in the background, the big castle in the background. I was like, oh, I know that spot. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I go to another flat, dude. And it was constant high 3s and 4s the whole time. I never caught another one in the 5s, but it was constant like high 4s, mid 4s.
Yeah,
just one after another. And
those are great fish.
Dude, I literally stayed probably I was there for probably 8 hours in that spot.
Yeah, I believe it.
Or these two spots, just plucking them one after the other.
Yep.
And so then Kevin calls me again. He's like, dude, we found a spot. Or was it Kevin or Taylor calls me again? They're like, we found a spot on the lake. You got to come out here. It's like glass. So I'm like, I was like, all right. I didn't really have another spot in mind.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, I'll come trailer and go there. Like I'm in. Like,
yeah,
you know, and it was easier for me to trailer because if I didn't, it would have probably been an hour plus run in the boat. Like, and I would have fucking sucked down so much gas.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like, it'll be easier. Just I'm fucking 5 minutes from the ramp. And it's like a 35-minute ride. So I load up the boat. I head down there. I texted Bogley, told him. He ended up coming, but so I go to the lake, dude, and you know me, I'm like, I get super apprehensive about the lake.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
I get seasick and all that bullshit,
Sure.
dude. It was like glass. It was wild. So I load and I just pedal to the metals, probably like 15, 20 miles out to where they were, to an island. And I get there, dude, and it's just another crazy flat, but it was shallow. It was like maybe 5-6 feet, like at the deepest place.
So and it clear enough you could see, no problem.
No flogger needed, just literally like spot fishing everything. And now there's a bunch of boats out there. Like it was was like, so I caught like, I think 2 or 3 more. I fished for about another 2-3 hours. I caught maybe like 3-4 more, something like that.
Yep.
And on my way out there, I forgot to strap down my net. The thing almost cut my head off.
Oh,
it literally came up, was just like, boop, 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 like right by my face, right into the water. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm not even going to try to turn around.
It's gone.
That thing's going to sink immediately. So,
yeah.
So there's a new net in Lake Ontario, but so we went out there, dude. The wind started to pick up a little bit, so I was like, it was probably like 6:37. I was like, I'm gonna start heading back. Like, I don't want it to get right. Not
get out there
because we were on the flat where I wasn't worried about that, but like
getting back to the ramp.
I didn't want it to be a rough ride back. It was still pretty friggin' calm to where I could. It got a little hairy a couple times, but I could still go full throttle back. So yeah, we loaded up. We got back. We were waiting for Taylor. Had the camera guy on his boat. Taylor brought his boat. So we got back. We got dinner, all that jazz. Did all that, and the next day we got kind of a late. So the next day, Taylor's like, "Hey, I'm gonna leave my boat here. Me and the camera guy are hopping on your boat if that's cool." I'm like, yeah, no problem.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be a lot of just like content stuff. So I wasn't like really seeing like what my 5 fish limit was or anything like that. But, so we got a little bit later start. We probably went like 8:39. Cause dude, these fish are, it's not like where it's like, oh, you get up early. It's the best, dude. These fish are just hitting all day long.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter when you get out.
It doesn't matter. So I didn't realize how much equipment this camera guy was. Who's shout out to Kevin. He was phenomenal. I actually, so the camera guy's name was Kevin. I'm gonna try to I'm going to shout his Instagram out right now. So his Instagram is @Dawn look to the _east. So @Dawn look to the _east. So that is Kevin's Instagram. He was a videographer. He works a lot with MLF, Elite Series, pros, stuff like that. So please go give him a like, follow. He messaged, tell him I sent you, whatever. Solid, good dude, great content creator. But anyway, so I didn't realize how much gear he actually was bringing with him because, he was like doing drone shots. He brought like an inflatable like paddleboard thing that we had in the back of my boat to in case he wanted to go out and get like drone shots and he wouldn't be in the shots or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were getting a ton of like underwater footage. Dude, immediately we start catching a ton of fish again. Couple flats. We probably caught the same. That first day, and my biggest 5 fish were 21 pounds, 12 ounces. Day 2, we were probably right there again, and we only fished till like 3 or 4 o'clock because I wanted to hit the road.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, we had a sick day getting content. Some crazy underwater footage. Great underwater footage. He was doing like interview style stuff with the camera for Taylor stuff. So I was mic'd up for most of it. I was like, I don't know. He's like, dude, he's like, I love your like humor, like dry humor jokes. He's like, I got to mic you up. I was like, okay. I was like, whatever. I was like, I am not like PG, dude. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
He's like, no, that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, so we had a blast. Taylor caught a bunch. I caught a bunch. Taylor was feeling it from the night before a little bit. He was a little tired, so he actually took a little nap ski for like 30 minutes, and then Kevin, the camera guy, ended up getting on the flogger for me and spotting some fish. So, dude, we had a blast. It was that first day was probably one of the craziest days of bass fishing I've ever had, if not the craziest day.
Oh, I believe it.
Like I said, 21 pounds, 12 ounces. That's definitely the biggest bag I've ever done in a day. By myself, at least.
Yeah.
But I got off. We got off. Said bye to Kevin. Said bye to Taylor. I literally hit the road immediately. I hit the road. Another 5 hours home. Got home about 11 o'clock.
Yep.
Went right to bed. Cause I had my daughter's kindergarten graduation next morning. Woke up in the morning to a text from Taylor that he had left his wallet in my boat.
Nice.
We were in upstate New York. I live in Massachusetts. Taylor lives in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So I just overnighted it real quick to him. But yeah, dude, it was a blast. That was the only fishy stuff I did. I thought about going. Shit, what was it? I don't know. I thought about going like the other day, but the weather was kind of squirrely and I had some stuff to do around the house, so I didn't go. But yeah. Crazy awesome trip, dude. You got to get your ass up there. I know it's just insane.
It's nuts. I really do have to get my ass up to the St. Lawrence, and this has got to be the year. It's got to be the year. I just got to take some time, carve it out, and go make it happen. We had really interesting weeks, you and I, because Saturday I put in one of the best bags I've ever put in my life. We'll get there for a minute. I forgot last week's show. We recorded actually on Friday. But you and I haven't talked in a while. So
yeah,
Father's Day was the first fishing trip with my dad of 2025. Right?
Yep.
We had a blast. We went to go fish a body of water that you had said you heard a rumor about recently.
Yep.
And we had gone in there and we were there, relatively early, nothing crazy, but we had 3 trailers parked on one side next to that little building that's over there in the corner.
Yep.
And there's 4 spots there, but they were parked in a way where you weren't squeezing another vehicle in there. And then we had one boat that was down at the ramp. They were just splashing that boat there. So this truck's going to come back up. And then we had some jackass that was parked the wrong way, perpendicular across the other 4 fucking parking spots.
That doesn't surprise me.
I was like, you motherfucker. And I knew there was one spot where I could have squeezed in, but I knew knew if I would have waited for the guy to come up, I knew that's where he was going to park and I was going to get fucked. So we ended up back at the scene of the crime for the May slot limit tournament. And my dad and I had a blast. Holy shit.
Did you catch him good?
It took me a while to figure them out.
So they were different. They were different from when we were there.
They were slightly different. Like they were not. For a while, I was like, maybe they pushed off like quite a bit deeper. I think that it was just a matter of like finding those spots a little bit closer up. My dad was throwing a bunch of. It's fucking crazy. So he was throwing around a bunch of like night crawlers on his ultralight setup, and he had like multiple rods going. There were multiple instances where he was like, "Shit, I got 2 on. What am I gonna do?" And it was one of these things. And I knew that's what he was going to be throwing, and I had a feeling he was going to be catching a lot of these panfish. And I'm like, well, let's give him a little bit of an adventure, because you catch some of those sunfish on some of that ultralight gear, and it's nuts. I mean, we're talking about like some of these fish were like the size of like your face. Like,
I was going to say that
enormous.
place produces big ones.
Well, and it's funny because this week I was watching some of Sarah Parvin's content, and I was like, man, maybe I gotta her and I have talked about her getting on the show a number of times, and it's just one of these things where schedules never line up, and I'm like, we got to get you on, Sarah, so that we can do a collab and do a bluegill tournament. Like, just do a straight up bluegill tournament one day, like the slot limit tournament. One day you buy in, you do this. And somebody, I mentioned this in conversation this week with somebody, and they're just like, yeah, but she's going to fish the slab lab. And I'm like,
public waters only.
So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those deals. And I'm like, yeah, artificial baits. It'll be fun. It'll get people out of their little sort of like thing. And the votes came in. There was only a couple people that were like, you're nuts. There was a vast amount of people that were like, yeah, I want to do it. Now, I know when push comes to shove, nobody's going to fucking sign up because they're going to be like,
I ain't catching no bluegill.
But I'm telling you, like, if you have a body of water that produces good ones like this, you should go for it, man. 100%. And it'll be like a catch 'em all style. So they just have to hit a minimum. That's it. But it was a good time. My dad and I had a great time. I struggled for a bit. I gave him one of these dangle inline spinners. And I was like, throw this on this combo here. I was like, and just give it a shot, you know? And it was a gold one. And he hooked up with the only smallie he caught that day was on that. Yeah. There was an instance where he had made a cast that had gone over a dock with this bait, and I'm like, shit, there's a treble hook. It went over the dock, and it just nicked on one of the ropes of a boat that was tied up. So I had to go over, dude, it was like some ninja shit. Spot lock right at the dock, step off, get on, grab the lure, throw it back in the water, jump back on the boat, and then just start motoring away from it. It was the slickest shit you've ever seen this portly son of a bitch ever manage in his life. So we had a real good time. I did catch a handful of like really decent fish. Both largemouth and smallmouth. Caught a big yellow perch over there. Like it was a good time. We had ourselves a blast. So then I don't think I really got out until Saturday. I was toying around, I think, with going out on Friday, and we had like squirrely ass weather. Like we had like thunderstorms coming in and shit like that. And I'm like, you know what? I got shit that I want to do. I actually got a bunch of stuff all handled this week, and last week was kind of crazy because it was my youngest last week for finals. So I had actually recorded 2 of our segments for this week's show with Jamie from Chill Steel Pipes and with AJ. Actually, in fact, with AJ, you'll hear it in the interview. I recorded from the parking lot of the high school where my kid goes, because she was going to be there for like 90 minutes to take her exam, and then she was free to leave. I'm like, it just didn't work out like schedule wise, or like the weather was just, either way, it just wasn't going to happen. So my plan was, I've been talking to the Binya, and again, same thing. We only had a couple of people that had signed up for the June scavenger hunt, or the June slot limit tournament. And the week of, boom, we started. Now, granted, we only got half the numbers that we did for May. We still had 11 people by the time Saturday rolled around. So you had until Friday at like 11:59 to be able to register. I extended that a little bit to keep it there. I think that's how I'm going to keep it from here on out.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't plan on when I created the identifier for this one, I was just like scrambling. I'm like, oh, I need 4 letters. Fart. So I made it fart, F-A-R-T. And like all of these people are putting in like fish pics and they're all submitting. They have fart written on their hands or on like a little board or something. I'm like, this might be a thing. I might have to get and make it a questionable. So I want to have, speaking of the St. Lawrence River in that area, I want to have Thousand Island Tackle Store be the sponsor for the July one so that one can say tits.
That would be awesome.
That would be amazing. You know what I mean? I think it could just be a lot of fun. Like, and what we could do to put a little spin on it, maybe they put together like some kind of a prize and we'll just get them the address of the winner and, it'll be like a random entry we'll get, whatever, and they can send it out to them. I think that could be a whole lot of fun, but just for the sake of making it tits, I think it would be so perfect. But Todd says, fart was awesome. I laughed every time I measured. I did too. And I had a realization that I was going to end up with like fart being like blocked out on my skin because I was in the sun so long, and I didn't. Luckily, I was like, "Wow, this is great." Okay, so keep in mind, Sharpie is not UV safe. You're going to get skin cancer under it, so doesn't help.
Good to know.
So let's talk about Saturday. Benny and I had been talking, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to go," and I'm like, "I have an idea." I go, "Why don't we meet in the middle, you and I?" And I was like, I've been wanting to try out this body of water. Let's go for it. So we went, and man, I will tell you, what a beautiful spot. And on the way up, we left we each had about like an hour and a half, 2 hour long ride to get there. Like it was literally meet in the middle for the two of us. So we go out there, we meet up, and my plan was this. I was like I said, Bobby Roast Beef has had last year for my business was probably one of the leanest years compared to expenses with the economy and shit that I've had since I've been in business for myself. Like we're getting by, but I'm accruing some debt. So I'm really trying to streamline and pay things down as much as I can. So, Binya, of course, having the experience of fishing with Bobby Roast Beef in the past is like, so Bobby, when we get off the water, what are we going to do for our post-tournament meal? And I'm like, brother, I'm going to cook something. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. So I have been like in my truck, there's certain stuff that I leave all the time just in case like it makes life simpler. Like I always have my kitchen box that's got like some coffee, my coffee pot, like all that stuff. I have a couple of dishes that I can cook with and my little stove. And what I did is I made this like creamy, cheesy pasta with like little cubes of like fried Spam, and I used hot and heavy SPG from Heat Your Meat. So I kept it all in the family, and we after we were done fishing, we dined. But I bring this up early because I realized on my way up that I didn't have any like plates or anything like that to put this in. And I had another issue. I had like, there's like camp sporks that I use, but they're plastic. And I'm like, my titanium ones are in my other box. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, that's not going to be good to stir with. I don't want to melt plastic and, take macro plastics in that way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, I'm driving up. This is just as you get into New Hampshire from Massachusetts along Route 10 and 63, right in Winchester. There's a spot that's called Chaz, CHA''S. And what Chaz is they used to kind of be famous for selling like tax-free tobacco, pipe tobacco, cigarettes and cigars, things like that. It was like a smoke shop, and the folks from Massachusetts would flock there to get their cancer sticks at a significant discount and not have to pay the taxes on them, or whatever the situation was, or whatever. Again, like non-smoker projecting here. Chaz has changed. They are now a full function. And I was like, in my mind, as it has dawned on me, I was like, if I see a large gas station, something that's got like a big convenience store or something, I'm like, I'm going to go in and see if I can get like, some paper plates or bowls or something like that. And some, like anything to stir with, something that's either metal or wood, because I'm like, I've got knives, but I don't want to damage the edge on those knives or anything like that. So I go in. And I was like, oh, listen, I don't even remember this. I walk in and I see the sign. It says Chaws. I was like, holy shit, this place has changed. Because I've been by there before. Dude, I go, first off, the place is beautiful. It's brand new. Like I went and I used the bathroom and everything. And I go in and I'm looking around for these items. And they had some plastic like solo bowls. And I'm like, okay, I got to stir with something here. Oddly enough, they have like a full Asian supermarket, like 2 or 3 aisles dedicated. And I was like, oh, chili crisp. Hello. So I was looking around for chili crisp. They didn't have any because I want to get a small jar to keep in my camp box. But I'm like, that would have elevated this meal to like that next level. It would have been out of this world. And I was like, so they didn't have that. But what they did have was like 40 or 60 pairs of like disposable wooden chopsticks for 99 cents. I was like, dude, I can stir some pasta with that. So that's what I did. I got some of those and everything. And I hit on the way out. I was like, they must get a lot of people that come by here because there's a little rack with like some eagle claw snell hooks and some rooster tails and big old packs of green pumpkin, black flavy Yamamoto Senkos. And I'm like, all right, there we go. That's cool. So I go and I get up there. I meet Binya, launch the boat over there. This is a great spot, but man, I'll tell you what, this is one of these instances where I'm really, really happy I got the boat that I've got, you know? Parking over here is just insane too. Like you either get a spot or you're fucked. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no parking lots at all. It's just crazy. So I go and I get the boat all ready, and I'm like, I'm gathering my gear together. Binya shows up, and I had this plan to add in. Binya is actually, he sold me a camera. He knew I was in the market for a camera to get that like rear, like full boat floor plan sort of shot. And he's like, look, man, he's like, I got so many of these DJI cams. He's like, I'll make you a deal. He's like, what are you looking at paying for like what people are suggesting? And I was like, well, about in this window. He's like, here's X amount. And I was like, oh shit. Okay, great. Dude, these DJI cameras are sick. Like this one has a front-facing screen that's touchscreen, so you can do all the controls right from that front side of it. Part of the trip I'm going to do tomorrow is like some of the production stuff. So I don't have power yet all the way back there to run this, and that cable that I was running is a little bit wonky. So I charged my Nocqua power pack, and I plugged that in. That should have run it all day. We had a little situation where Bobby Roast Beef had to jump off the boat to go release a brown. And I went to do so, and without realizing it, there's some overhanging trees. Totally forgot about the camera. It took it and bent it right back, went right in the water. Luckily, the camera's okay. I didn't run it anymore. I just wanted to let it dry out. And I took the camera and I was like, okay, it is what it is. So there is no real footage from that angle, which is terrible because we leave the launch. This was nuts, dude. We leave the launch. Benny and I are just yip talking about shit that we think is going to work. And we had determined before that we're on the we're talking about like what we're going to throw, what we think is going to work. And we're thinking it's going to be a lot of like paddle tail swim baits, maybe some wacky rigs, something like that. Just big numbers, just what's catching, what's going to catch. So I go out and I'm like, all right, we're going to start kind of like conventional size. I'm not going to downsize until I can determine I need to. So I take my moving bait combo, right? And I have a 4-inch paddle tail swim bait on there in a particular pattern with some little enhancements that I like to make. And I make one big bomb cast, my first cast. And I hook up with what would be the biggest fish of the goddamn day, Joe. In fact, it starts the video because I'm like, how am I going to start this video? Like it starts with the biggest catch of the day. So I went and I did it and I created like a little movie montage there. I hooked into a 17 3/4-inch smallmouth right off the rip. Like this jig was dropping down and got smoked. And I have a feeling because we were at this point in very deep water. And I was like, I think I probably just threw to what was a rock pile, unknowing. I got lucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason was because as the day continued, I found my pattern to be I was finding a very, very specific sized fish around these rock piles. So, and around like a little bit more depth, like nothing super duper shallow. So I go and I'm like, this is how this day is going to be. Like, this is crazy. You know, it's unbelievable. So we move around a little bit more. We go a little bit closer because we wanted to kind of start around this point that had this nice ledge. And we're going and we're fishing that. I hook into a squeaker that doesn't make the minimum. Right on that same 4-inch, I was like, no, 2 fish is a pattern. I'm not putting this down. I'm not putting this down. And I'm like, we'll go ahead. We'll keep fishing. We get around, and I'm not getting bit on anything. Binya also not getting bit on anything. We round around this one little corner, and I decide, let me just downsize a little bit. See if I can get elicit some more bites on this. So I grab my Pig Jigs BFS combo, and I start throwing that. And that is just a 2.8 version of the exact same swim bait with a jig head that's half the weight. So I'm throwing that around, and I'm just kind of like zipping around stuff. I put one into the boat. I think that was my first one. That was, I think it was. I put my first one in the boat that would measure with that. And I'm like, okay, beautiful. This is great. So we start working around. We're just following this bank line around this point, basically trying to find where the drop off is. And luckily the water's clear enough. Like, we can see a lot of this. This is a place that I think, like, this is where live scope would be very helpful. You know, very, very little for grass, you know, at all. You know, we go and we're doing our thing. We make our way around, and we come over to this one other spot where the wind is kind of blowing into this little cove. We start fishing here, and this is where I'm starting to see some of the rock piles. Like, they're not as deep as they were in some spots, and I'm like, you know what? I go, I'm gonna try something. I'm just gonna focus a little bit on these rock piles, and I start throwing a juvie craw. And I made a change on my Pig Jigs rod. I had put the Arc Gravity BFS on there because, and this is what I was thinking, that rod is one of my most versatile rods that I have for bait finesse. It's a 6 foot. It's a 6 foot light with a moderate fast action. So it's very, very versatile. I was like, I'm going to put the most versatile reel I have on this rod. We'll see what we can do. And it's been great. That meant I put the Tatula on my Shimano Majestic XT. Dude, like, not only like aesthetically, this combo is just beautiful, but I'm throwing around a Great Northern Finesse juvie craw with a 3/16 ounce jig head, like the one that they make for this bait. And I'm just taking the claws from this, and basically what the juvie craw really is like a tube, but it's a hyper realistic looking craw tube. I'll put a little bit of chartreuse on the claws, just as more of a confidence thing for me than anything else. And I just start flipping this thing around into some of these areas where there's where these rock piles are, and I'm casting up past on the backside of the rocks, and I'm just bouncing this over, and I'm getting hung up a little bit, but I'm being very cautious to not set the hook. Dude, I caught 2 more right there, both of them over 16 inches. Like, in this one area, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, man. This is crazy. And I'm like, so now I've got, at this point in the game, I've got 3 fish on the board, all of them over 16 inches in a 17-inch slot limit. Like, this is a really good position. I'm starting to, like, make some moves. At this point, like, the folks who were in the top were headed there fast. Like, a lot of this tournament is picking the body of water, and these guys were on it. They were catching a lot of like 13s to 15s, like something like that, with a handful of 12s mixed in there. So we're going around. At this point, I think by this point, Binya had put 2 on the board as well. Like, we were tied up, I think, for 2 at this point, or maybe even 3. I forget. Editing the video is just such a blur. We come around to this one. We come around this one point here. Binya catches another one, and then we get into this one spot where there is a huge drop, but there's a longer section of like straight bank that comes off, and it's really a unique piece of structure. And you know, we were throwing totally different shit. I caught another one on that juvie craw, working the bottom, just like clicking it right over rock piles. And this one came in, it was like 16 3/4 or something like that. It was absolutely huge. I'm like, this is crazy. Or I take that back. So there's 1, 2, 3. Anyway, all day I ended up catching 5 fish that were over 16 inches.
That's awesome.
The only other one that made the slot was a 13 1/4 at the very end. So I did 95 inches total in 6 fish, which is awesome. I was amazed.
That's rad.
we come around and we fish the shit out of this spot. There was one point where Binya had caught one on a wacky, and I was like, I put together a wacky setup because I had been looking at the map here, and I'm like, there's not like a lot for docks or anything. I wasn't planning on throwing a weightless wacky. I forget where I got this weighted wacky hook, but it's heavy. I think I got it from the Bearded Angler, like when we last fished a while ago, and he was like, you got to try this. It was like a 3/8 ounce. Maybe it was a quarter. It was a heavy weighted wacky hook. So, and there's a weed guard on it. So I'm like, all right, well, I know there's all kinds of rocks and stuff and everything. So I'm just going to throw this down so I can get it down in some of that depth. We're in like 32 foot of water, judging by the map. Yeah. And the water was a little bit high. So we're in some pretty deep water. I throw this. I caught a 16 3/4 there off this wacky. And I have it on video. I'm like, yeah, I just want to see how this is. I'm going to cast over here to deeper water. If I don't get bit here, there's one other presentation. As soon as I say that, bang, this fish is on. I was like, God damn, you son of a bitch. So we came up with a plan to kind of cover more water, caught a bunch of squeakers away up there. There's nothing that was going to help us for the tournament whatsoever. We decided to make a call and go back over to that spot, see if it had reloaded at all.
It did not.
So we decided that it was probably in our best interest to cut all the way across and then start fishing back up that other bank, because I think we had about 3 hours left, 2.5 maybe, before the tournament was going to wrap. And we're like, we'll cover water. We get down to this one grassy area, and Binya was like, he's like, see where all that grass is? He goes, I think we should start down there. And I'm like, you know, man, let's do it. We get up there and it's really shallow. So I grab my pig jigs rod. I cut off that paddle tail, and at this point the wind had started picking up, and I tie on an HH Customs mini koosh ball bladed jig, and I start throwing this around. I start catching yellow perch, dude. The fucking forage I was trying to fucking imitate, man. Fucking 100%. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I lay into 2 of them. I make another cast. I catch a smallmouth, and I'm like, I'm going to make another cast out here deeper and see what happens. Bang. It's another 16-inch. That was the last one. That was the 5th. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. So I'm like, this is great. So I'm covering water. I'm covering water. I get bit off of one of these rock piles because I can see them. Again, I cannot wait to get these electronics on my boat. I have to just shut the fuck up and do it. I really do. And I'm hoping maybe this week, my wife and kids, they're going to the beach. So I'm going to have the entire house to myself with just the dogs Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So I think I'm going to take some time beforehand and get some work done and put the work in and make it. Even if we're supposed to get some rain, so I'm not going to plan on fishing then. I'm fishing tomorrow. I'm fishing Saturday for sure. There's got to be some time I can work something out. So
Oh, yeah.
We'll get back on track. We fish along this way, and we're picking up a lot of squeakers. Like, a lot of these fish that we're catching are just coming up short. They're like 11 to 11 3/4, and we're like, fuck off. I think Binya put one more in that was in there. I put in a 13.5 or a 13.25. That was the only other fish I caught for the slot. Mm-hmm. I was pitching around with the juvie craw again, and, you know, as we would roll up on a rock pile that I would spot, I'd let us get right over. I'd just kill the trolling motor, let the wind drift us back, and then hit spot lock. And I'd make a cast past it. And then I could pick up some fish. Even though it was so clear, I was amazed at how receptive they were to so many different baits. And there really wasn't a whole lot of like pattern to be figured out, because there were so many differences. Like the baits maybe specifically that I was throwing all kind of had like a similar size within an inch or so, and some kind of a similar color background. But that bladed jig I was throwing had like a straight up gold paddle tail on the back with like gold flake. And I'm like, it was just a different kind of beast entirely. Then you factor in what Binya's throwing, and he's getting bites, and he's putting fish in the boat, and his colors are totally different than what's going on, or the presentation just in general. Like, he's catching some on cranks. It was just wild, you know? So it was a good freaking time, man. It was pretty badass. We got off the water. I didn't realize at the time we had 2 FTGs. We get there, and there is, dude, no bullshit, Joe. We get there, and there is a couple with their folding camp chairs on the launch.
Of course.
And I'm like, yeah. So I get up and I get over there. Keep in mind, it's been 8 straight hours. I am beaten by the sun. I've had nothing but Bridgeford jerky, and I hate that I had to go for it. But God damn, it was delicious. First time I've ever had that. But Uncle Randy did something right with that sponsor. Have you ever had their jerky?
No, I don't think I have. What's it called again?
Bridgeford. It's Bridgeford Foods is what it is. But
I think I have.
They do one that's like a Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue. And dude,
okay,
it's so good. I found it at Dollar General. I was like, all right, I got to throw some jerky in the boat, just so that way we're covered.
Yeah,
dude, it was so good. It kept me going. That and a couple of crisp Diet Cokes, and then like the 2 giant Nalgene's of water I brought out there. It was hot. It was nice because we had a little bit of wind, so it wasn't crazy. But man, I got some sun. I mean, you can see it's.
Oh yeah,
it's game on.
Yeah,
it's game on. So it was a really good day. We got off the water. We talked to some absolute just buffoons that were just hanging out doing their thing, and we took off. And we parked along this one street because I needed somewhere to put the boat. I had these 2 assholes on either side of me because I had to park on street that were parked super close to me. In fact, I think one of them hit my trailer because one of my lights is fucked up. And the front end of the car that was behind me, all kinds of fucking front end damage. So like they don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm like, you motherfuckers. So yeah, I might have to talk to John about figuring something out with that. But yeah, we sent it. It was really good. We had a really good meal. It was a whole lot of fun. I love doing these trips with Binya. And it's interesting because he is way more of the focused tournament angler than I am. But yeah. I think he was much more chilled out, I think, than most tournaments where I think he would be like, fuck, what the fuck's going on? Like, we just had a great time. I can't wait to see his video. His video includes like custom music that kind of narrates some of the shit. I'm like, mine is weird. Like, I did some shit with his video that I haven't done before. Like, if I'm throwing something, I'm telling you all the details. I'm not telling you, I'm putting graphics on screen of like rod, reel, line, what the bait is, and I'm talking about how I'm working it. So I'm trying to put more of that in here to kind of, not only like for the viewer to kind of like get more information, but also like for myself. So I'm fully aware of exactly what it is that I'm doing. But yeah, and I still got some work I got to do. I never finished it because my batteries and my mic, all of that died. I figured out what happens is once my mic dies, and the GoPro stops getting footage, if I'm not recording in loop mode, it'll just shut off. And,
gotcha.
That's what happened. I was like, all right, it shut off at some point. I'm like, we're almost done, and we're like 45 minutes out. I think I went without a bite. Maybe I caught like another dink in there or something like that. Yeah. But I'm like, for the most part, that was all the fish. I'm like, we're good for all that. I'm just gonna film an outro and make that all happen. But dude, an absolutely amazing day.
That's dope, dude. That's so awesome.
But yeah, dude, it was absolutely nuts, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to the July one. I think that the slot tournaments are slowly becoming one of my favorites.
Oh, sweet.
And this was an interesting one because, well, let's go through it. We'll go through it. We had 11 anglers in total. And what we ended up with at the end of the day, 10 out of 11 anglers put in fish. That 11th angler that didn't put in fish, didn't actually get to fish that day, was like, I am going to go out. So it's not like they got skunked per se. Like they just didn't fish that day. Totally understand. I spoke with that angler on the ride back, and I was like, everything cool? I'm like, I noticed that you registered, but you didn't put in any fish. Like, how did everything go? And they were like, yeah, everything's cool. So of the 10 that put fish in, we've got Aaron Odekirk that put in 14.5 inches. Ronald Moy came in 9th place at 14.75. Ian Jamerson put in 15 inches on the nose. Todd Sefton came in, and Todd Sefton was one of the ones, he was, I think, like 2 days before maybe, he had registered for it. He put in 41.25. Steve Galloway out there in the Midwest, he put in 45.25, and not too bad. He did it in 3 fish. That's pretty good. Good old Benny Outdoors was in 5th place at 78.75 inches in total. His fish all fit one kind of specific window. Bobby Roast Beef. Now, I should say, before I say this, there was a moment, and it's in the video, where I looked, and I at the time was in 3rd place, and I was like, holy fucking shit. And it was between myself and Alan Moy, but I ended up finishing at 95 inches. This is what my bag was: 16.5, 16.5, 16 and a half, 16 and a quarter, 16 and 13 and a quarter.
Hell yeah.
Like that was not bad at all. And Alan Moy, he put in a couple of 16s, 2 15s, 2 14s, and a 12. He's got 102.5 inches in total. If I would have caught one more legal fish, I would have stolen that third place spot. That's how close it was. And I went through and I judged, like the way I normally do. I go through and I judge these fish and I stop after the money pays out. If it's close and there's the potential that somebody could steal it, I'll then keep going to make sure. But once I am for sure that nobody else could potentially get into that top 3, if things change, I stop. And so here are our winners right now in the payout spots. Alan Moy finished at 102.5 inches. Nice job, Alan. Brody Davis, 357 confirmed inches. Nice job. And Matt Thayer. Matt Thayer came in at 384.25 inches in total. Now, I'm going to tell you, there is one fish that he entered as a typo, and it came up as 0.20, and or he just put 0.2, and I am, for whatever reason, it fucks some shit up, and I'm unable to confirm it, but I'm verifying the picture and the metadata. It all checks out, so they all count. I'll say this. Both of those two anglers, I had to DQ a handful of fish with. They were both over 400 inches.
Put up those numbers.
They still put up those numbers. They were both over 400 inches, but they were like, it was like stupid shit. Where like it was there was a typo. There was a couple where like they were just bad measurements. Like no big deal. And Matt, when I told him, I was like, dude, come on, this one doesn't even measure near the fucking halfway mark or some shit like that. He's like, bro, when I got my sunglasses on, I'm out there. He's like, I can't see shit. I was like, all right, there we go. But like I was like, it may not, like, let me go through, it may not change the place, and it didn't. It lowered a little bit of their total overall. But yeah, congratulations to Matt Thayer. He's done a number of these and he's come close. Last June I think he came in second place, and this year he's got it. So that's awesome, man. Or this June he's got it. So I'm gonna be doing payouts for those this week, and it's just gonna be freaking awesome. I'm really excited about our June one, and it's just pretty badass. But yeah, unfreaking believable, man. It was so close. And actually, there was a moment where I was like, oh man, Alan, I hope none of your fish are fucking DQable. Alan,
your fish, your photographs were fucking perfect. Excellent job.
they were fucking perfect. Spot on. If I wanted to find something to DQ, there was nothing there. Like, you nailed it. It was so good. Man, it was just absolutely crazy. It was just absolutely
awesome.
Nuts. Yeah, it was a good time. We had ourselves a blast. I'm going out tomorrow and going to do some hopefully do some damage. We'll see what's going on. But Joe, we have headlines this week, right?
We do.
I love that. Let's go ahead and do it.
Oh, it's all about Massachusetts this week because we are always in the headlines because we're a bunch of fucktards.
We are. That's true.
Where are we going to start? We're going to start with the salty stuff.
Okay. I'm here for some salty stuff.
And the reason why we're going to start with the salty stuff is because 5 men were fined 51,000 buckaroos for illegal fishing bust in Westport Harbor.
Fuck those guys.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So Westport, Massachusetts, beautiful town, beautiful area. I think. I don't know. I go to the Cape in that area like once a year because guess what? People in Massachusetts very rarely friggin' vacation in the Cape because I don't feel like waiting 4 hours in line to get over one goddamn bridge.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I know there's people in this room that do go there occasionally all the time, like every weekend, and he knows who he is, and you're out of your goddamn mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, a new policy from Westport's incoming harbor master helped lead to a major illegal fishing bust this week, resulting in $51,000 in civil fines for 5 out-of-state men. They weren't even Massachusetts guys. They were out of state.
Fuck them.
Officials say the men, 4 from Maryland and 1 from PA, were caught with 5 coolers packed with more than 1,000. That's 3 zeros, Bobby.
That's insane.
Illegally caught fish Wednesday evening. The haul included undersized black bass, tautog, and scup. They were counted out one at a time. Assistant Harbor Master Rick Smith said, so pretty much if it bit the hook, they took it. The encounter started when Assistant Harbor Master Kevin Carter had just returned from transporting a Massachusetts environmental police officer to a patrol. As he was docking the town boat near the Harbor Master's shack, he noticed a 25-foot boat floating nearby. They asked me for some gas. Wait a second. They asked me for some gas or where they could get some gas. Oh, it's a bold move, Cotton. I said everything was closed, but I said I would try to help him out. Carter said he grew suspicious when he realized their engine was still running. He called the officer back just as the group was pulling their boat out of the water. When officers opened the coolers, they found what Carter called a boatload of fish, illegally seized fish. Incoming Harbor Master Bill Chance said the incident wasn't just about illegal fishing. It may be part of a larger issue. My sense after all this happened last night was there's probably more to this story. This was a coordinated large operation which has roots and tentacles in other states. The men did not have fishing licenses or permits, and they were issued $51,000 in civil fines. As of Thursday, it was unclear if their vessel or fishing equipment had been seized. Chase, who was appointed earlier this month, said the incident validated one of the first policies partnering with state environmental police for environmental enforcement on the water. It validates the cooperation between a small town, blah, 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 blah. Boy, $51,000.
That's a lot of fucking money.
Guess what they're not going to do?
What's that?
Pay it.
Oh, yeah.
You think some out-of-staters are going to pay? You know what I mean?
No.
They had no fishing license or permits, right?
Yeah.
And you think they're going to pay that $51K?
No, definitely not. No, it's never going to fucking happen. I mean, who knows if the state's going to go after
I'm looking
anything,
at this.
yeah.
I'm looking at this picture here, and it's like the back of the truck.
It's full of fish. It's crazy.
It's, dude, the whole truck, back of the truck is full of fish. It's fucking gnarly. It's gnarly.
It blows.
Actually, there's a couple other different things in there they didn't mention. I see a couple dogfish in there. I see. What the fuck were they going to do with those? How do you do a dogfish?
I don't know. I've always heard like you got to throw them back because like they just piss through their skin.
Yeah.
To which I'm always like, yeah, but you know they're all swimming in their fucking fish piss anyway. That's crazy, man. That is nuts. It just blows my mind. I get it, dude. Like times are tough, man. You want to capitalize, and I think that's in that article why they probably got away with not putting a full list because it is if it bit the hook, they just kept it. Yeah, you know.
Yep.
What a bunch
100%.
of assholes. Bunch of assholes.
Hold on. Dan wanted to see
Dan
that.
Griffiths just put it on the screen. He's like,
Put it on the glass.
put it on the glass.
Put it on the glass. There we go. Oh, look at that. It's
Yeah, so there's your photo. Like I said, I mean, you got some of the
I'll bet
dogfish.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. There's one right underneath there, too.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. I'll bet you the back of that truck smells fantastic.
You know, I guarantee you this was a certain because it sounds super racist, but you know where I'm going with this. Like, I know exactly who this probably was. I mean, because that's what they do. I mean, that's terrible, but anywho.
It's crazy, dude. It's just absolutely insane. And that's the thing. There's people that will just catch what they can just to sell it off. That's all they want to do is just catch what they can.
And Bobby goes and buys it at Chas.
I go buy it at Chas. I slather it in. I have a recipe. Speaking of cooking fish, So a long time ago, like this is back when I was living in the apartment with my wife and kids, and you know, I wanted to dabble a little bit with barbecue and stuff like that. My wife, you know, in this, we lived in a brownstone. We didn't have a backyard. We had like an alley with a dumpster in it. Like, you know, I mean, I'm not setting up a smoker and making ribs or anything like that.
Sure.
But she got me this pan a long time ago. It's called an indoor stovetop smoker. And it's pretty slick.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's got the handles that come off around the side and everything.
Yep.
I'm going to actually use it to camp, and I'm going to make some smoked trout, and I'm going to make...
That's dope.
Yeah. I'm like, this is going to be pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty badass. I was like, do I still have all the parts? And I dug it all up, and I was like, yeah, I do. Every single last one of them. I'm like, I need to utilize this. So
that was like the one cool thing I lost in the divorce.
Oh, really? Well, hey,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where that went.
I did catch a video of where you can like make your own out of like existing kitchen supply stuff.
Yeah.
And it's larger, and so you can do like full racks of ribs in one, and not have to like cut them up. But it's pretty freaking slick. I was like, oh, it's all right. Like it's not winning barbecue awards or anything like that, but for smoking fish, I think it's ideal.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, we'll fool around with that. We'll see what we got, but dude, that's.
Do we want a second story?
I think this is another one. It's more Massachusetts stuff. Let's let the listeners know.
All right, so we all know about the racist incident that happened a few weeks back with Mr. Sharon Brown, SBK fishing. So that gentleman, Bobby, he went to court.
He did go to court.
He was arraigned in Fitchburg District Court on felony charges Monday after he was recorded yelling racial slurs at a 10-year-old girl and her father while they fished in a Massachusetts lake. I'm not going to go through all that. We already did that. But David McPartland, 66 of Air, was charged with 2 counts of felony assault, or 2 felony counts of assault with a dangerous weapon, that being rocks, and 2 charges of assault to intimidate in connection with the May 26th incident on Lake Shirley in Lunenburg. He was also ordered, he was ordered to stay away from Sharon Brown and his daughter. And essentially, let me look here. He was released on personal recognizance, according to court files, with no bail. Which that makes a lot of people mad, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's Massachusetts, unfortunately. Massachusetts they just let they let murderers go like on like $500 cash bail. It's just wicked fucked up. Like our state's fucked. So yeah, it doesn't, I believe the case is being continued. I'm not sure here. It doesn't say if it's going to go to trial or whatever. Oh, his next court date is scheduled for July 29th. So it's continued until July 29th on his own personal recognizance, which means he's basically on his own, like released to himself. No bail, no bond. We don't do bond in Massachusetts, but no bail there. So essentially ordered to stay away from Sharon and his daughter. And that case is going to be continued till July 29th. And I'm going to keep a good eye on this one.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more coming. I don't know, Dan, I'm not sure if this is what you're talking about. Did McPartland put his house up for sale? Is that what the scoop is? I'm curious. I'll bet you I wouldn't doubt it if he did, because I'll tell you what, I think the thing is that's probably the most important thing. Like there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, he's let out without bail. What kind of shit is that? At the end of the day, right? Like, I think what he's got to deal with now is not so much the fact that, like, there's court dates and whatever the end result of that might be, is the fact that they now have twice published his fucking name and where he is, so that anybody who knows him knows that he is, in fact,
a piece of shit.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel bad for him. I mean, you did it to you played a stupid game. You got stupid prizes, you know? It is what it is.
I'm trying to look on
Lake community is hard. I believe it. You know, anybody who doesn't want to be an associate to a piece of shit is going to cut whatever ties with him as possible. You know, and I mean, I'm sure that involves people around the lake. Man, that's fucking nuts. I saw that story and I was just like, yeah, this is kind of a mess.
I was trying to look real quick on the real estate sites, but not finding it off the rip.
You want to know what his asking price is? We'll hit it up on Zillow.
Oh, God.
Maybe we'll crash the open house. We'll crash the open house. We'll just make it a kegger.
Dude will release like rats in his yard or something.
I'll release another brown.
It's the best trout to release.
I was going to release a brown trout right in his fucking bedroom window.
Be like, what the fuck is that? Why is the wallpaper peeling? Oh, God. Good stuff. Good stuff.
We'll do like they do on what they did in the Step Brother movie.
Oh, yeah.
Or Step Brothers. Yep. When the realtor comes in, we'll just do random shit like that.
That's actually pretty fucking funny, dude. That's pretty fucking funny. Oh, man. Here we are. We're saying this on a podcast, and people are going to be looking for us to be there. They'll be just like, I thought Jigs and Biggs was going to be. I thought they were going live from the open house.
Let me know if you ever need fertilizer.
Todd nailed it. Upper Decker. Yes, dude. Yes, 100%. Oh,
dude, I'm going to piss in the closets.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We'll put in like, put an offer in under like assume names.
Like big offers.
Yeah, giant, way over asking price.
$1 billion.
Fucking stupid games, stupid prizes. So
I actually have a couple of funny things, or one funny thing I forgot to mention, Bobby, during my week.
Okay, I love funny things.
I get a text from Meg.
Oh, God. Okay.
All my whatnot stuff came in while I was
oh no, dude.
River.
Oh,
let me see if I can find the picture she sent me. And she's like, I thought you just bought a couple things off that site. I was like, oh no. Dude, it literally. Wow. Here we go.
Fucking whatnot stuff. Shit, dude. Oh my God, Joe. That is insane.
I thought they were gonna like spread it. I haven't. I'm in recovery. I'm in recovery, and I haven't been on that site since. I'm in recovery. I'm like 5 days clean now.
I mean, that's better, you know. Oh, dude,
I'm 5 days clean from whatnot. Yeah, so I did that. And, dude, I forgot to tell you, I got a new setup. I got a new rod reel setup. Did I tell you?
No. What'd you get?
So the butcher gave me an offer I could not refuse.
Was it on an Aldebaran BFS?
No.
Oh, all right. Okay. Because he's been making that offer, and I'm not in a position to take it up, but it's a good deal. So I don't want to tell anybody.
It's nice.
Yeah,
I saw it. I put my hand. I went to his house to pick up this one, but he gave me. He didn't give it to me. I bought it, but I needed a new drop. I wanted to like another drop shot setup before I went to St. Lawrence River, and it's a Megabass Poison Adrena with a Vanford reel.
Oh my God! Yeah,
dude, that was chef's kiss.
I'm sure.
And he had this like JDM. He can't. I wish he knew the name of the line, but the line on it is fucking fantastic that he had on there. And yeah,
nice. Is that what you were catching him on? And
yes.
Yeah,
so that
nice.
and then the video right there. So that because I had them set up. I had a few different rods set up because it was all drop shotting the whole time. That's all we did. And it was, I had different weights. So like for the river, I needed like a half ounce, weight. Oh, yeah. And and for the rest, I had like, like whatever, 3/16 or whatever. But yeah. So great setup.
It's freaking badass. I love it. I love new gear. There's nothing that makes me happier than new gear. Yep. It really, really does.
Yep.
Let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break, guys. We're going to turn this sucker on. We got a double FTG for you. Remember, we still got 2 interviews here. We got Justin from Chill Steel Pipes. We're going to talk about an amazing product that if you are of the fish whistle community, you're going to want to know about this because I'll tell you what, there's one thing that Bobby Roast Beef loves. It's ice cold bong rips. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I was so excited for this interview. It's a really, really good story, too. And then on the back end of that, we come back. We've got AJ Beaudoin from Battlefish Charters, who's launching Battlefish Academy. And if you're, if you're especially a veteran and you've ever considered the idea of like, hey, I'd like to work for myself in that outdoor space, you're going to want to pay attention for this. Or if you know a veteran that's interested in starting their own business in the outdoors sort of genre, you're going to want to share this interview with them for sure. We will be back, guys, in a bit. Don't go too far. We got much more Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
So we got a couple this week, both of them coming from the Garden State. One in South Jersey, one in Northern Jersey. And actually, I'll be going to Northern Jersey to meet up with Brandon, who's one of our calls, and with Chris, Bandit Fishing. So that's coming up, I think, the second week of July. I'm looking forward to it. It's right after the 4th, so we're gonna have ourselves a good time. But let's go ahead. We're gonna hear from Josh in South Jersey right now. He's got one hell of a tale for you. Here goes.
Hey, Bobby Roast Beef. This is Josh. I'm from South Jersey. Hey, listen, I got an STG to submit. So, quick setup here for the story. Powerbait Paul and myself are fishing together as per usual. And our buddy Jake, he's fishing right near us. So we're fishing there on the bank, and Jake, he's between he's got a private bulkhead between us and him. And there's a kayaker in front of us. Well, this here kayaker decides he's going to go over and fish about 15 feet from exactly where Jake is standing. Proceeds to cast around him towards him, starts trying to have a conversation with him, ends up getting himself snagged in a bush, basically about 4 feet in front of Jake. So he proceeds to, despite he has about 30 or 40 foot of bank he could choose from, he decides to beach his kayak at Jake's feet, then gets out and proceeds to, try to get himself unsnagged. And he eventually gets himself unsnagged, gets himself back in the water, and continues to harass our buddy Jake. Until he finally gets bored of that, I guess. And Paul and I are sitting there kind of laughing to ourselves and also feeling bad for him at the same time. And he finally comes making his way over towards us, and we're moving down the bank further away from him, trying to avoid contact. And he proceeds to come up in front of me and he's about off to my left, about 15 yards, 20 yards. And he starts asking me if I'm catching anything. Well, I only had about one thing I could say. And all I could say was, well, if you keep coming closer, you'll keep spooking him. I ain't going to catch shit. And that's the story. Oh, and to add to that real quick, apparently he's also occasionally asked Jake since then if he could throw his kayak in the back of his truck and get a ride home. So there's a story. Anyway, keep up the podcast. It's awesome. Love it. Talk to you later.
This guy sounds like the biggest piece of shit. Either he is so fucking unaware of etiquette.
I think that's what it is. What it is.
But like, and lots of times that's what it is. Like when we got to the ramp and those folks were just sitting there, I'm having a conversation with them and I'm like, yeah, guys, would you mind scooting over a little bit so I can put my trailer right where it's got to go? There was a kid when I was out fishing with Becca this one night, and he set up with a chair and his tackle box all open and everything right at the launch. And there was bank on either side. He could have fished with no problem. It was just ridiculous. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. People are dumb, dude. Mm-hmm. And this guy is really fucking dumb. Really fucking dumb. Because, oh, God, that's fucking terrible. Because that's the thing. Like, I know Paul, and I know that these guys, I've seen a lot of their content before. They fish exclusively from the bank for the vast majority of times that they're out there. Yeah. And they're pond hopping. That's what they're doing. And, like, this guy has to just be so painfully unaware that he has no idea what the fuck is happening. But fuck that guy. Good for Jake for throwing it back at him. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you keep a freaking fucking moving in on this space and spooking him. I'm not going to catch shit, you know? He's probably got no fucking idea. Oh, man, I hate those fucking just idiots.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. You got to love it. So this one here comes from another end of Jersey, the northern part of Jersey. Let's go ahead and hear from Brandon with this one.
Bobby, and who the fuck is Joe Brown? It's YP the God, a.k.a. Brandon White. Yeah, so I went fishing yesterday by the river, you know, a little flooded, but went fishing, you know, got on them, crappie, a smallmouth, not a bad day, you know, for me, but tell me why this couple pulled up with their kid and let the kid start throwing rocks right next to me in my casting area, and I'm constantly reminding them, like, hey, can you please, like, back the kid up so I don't hook them? And they just put their, didn't speak English, and continue to sit their chair next to me while I'm trying to cast. I'm like, dude, like, what? First off, personal space.
Yep.
And second, why are you with the kids so damn close that I can hook them? And I'm going to feel like shit, and then we're going to be fighting or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck that guy. And yeah, tight lines. Have a good day.
It's another one that's just painfully unaware. Like, and there's a couple of spots that I bank fish that are like around popular areas where there's like walking trails and stuff. Or like there's that one spot that I like to fish that's like right in like a major downtown area. Like it's just boom, there's a lot of foot traffic that goes by. And part of fishing with those areas, you just have to deal with folks that are just, they have no idea what's going on. Or they're like, there's actually fish in there or whatever. Or that's
my favorite.
Even worse, they'll like, you know, because I don't know, maybe it's like a certain kind of dumbass that's just like, oh, what I like to do is to go to a public place where somebody's trying to enjoy their activity, and I like to just watch them. But which is fine. I don't care. Like I've had people before sit and watch me. I'm graceful as fuck. People want to see this shit.
That's a fuck boy.
But when it comes to like the worst is when, like he said, personal space. Actually, I'll take that back. That's the second worst part. The even worse is like neglecting their kid. Because I'm of the mind of like, that kid's getting hooking him now. Like, it's just going to happen. And you know what? Hopefully I'm recording so that way I've got proof where I can say, I fucking told you to keep your kid out of this area so this wouldn't happen. You know?
Yep.
So stupid. So stupid. Oh, man, here we go. So Vinny with the solutions. First, he says you should throw rocks back. I don't know that that's necessarily a good idea, but, you know.
Or he probably should. You should probably rewind.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
And listen.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. And then he goes, what you should do is yell out, oh, my God, did you see that gator? It's not a terrible idea. And then he says, they're so dumb, they would believe it and then run away. Yeah, you're probably right. They would. My favorite story ever is I had this is at this one college campus where there is students, and it was a student at the time. So like, I mean, I get it. I'm going to fish in a place where like they're there to do their fucking further their education. I get it. So like, I generally don't give anybody a hard time, but this one couple of girls comes up to me and they're just like, oh, there's actually fish in here? Oh my God. You don't eat them, do you? And I'm like, no, most of the water around here is so polluted. I was like, I'm just catching them and releasing them and everything.
Yeah.
And I hooked a chain pickerel. And I was like,
oh, here we go.
And I took this thing out and I'm holding them and I'm taking the hook out and they can see the teeth and everything. And they're like, that was in there. And I'm like, oh yeah, you don't want to fall into this water. I mean, you know, you can imagine what the big ones could do to you. This is just a baby, you know, and it was a decent, it was like 16
this one's only like 2 days old.
Yeah. I'm like, this one's it's a newborn. Could you imagine the mother that released this? And I was just, man, just the unenlightened The unenlightened are the ones that have the loudest voices and cause the most ruckus. It's just crazy. John Hagan shares one right here. He goes, I love the people that see me fishing and proceed to tell me I should be using a certain bait. I'm like, fucker, if I wanted to fish with worms, I wouldn't have brought shad. Fair enough, man. It's true. Like, oh, you know what works? Yeah, they sell these plastic worms.
Do you have any idea how many fucking plastic worms I have with me? I'm aware that they make these fucking worms out of plastic.
Yep.
Swear to God, I'm getting all fired up about it. Oh my God. But you know, when it rains, it pours, FTGs. And I'm glad that these kind of, number one, were like related with just people painfully unaware of their situation and causing a bit of a headache for anglers on the banks. But also, like, I find it interesting that they're both calls out of Jersey. What the fuck, Jersey?
What's going on in Jersey, man?
I know. Geez, Janelle, get on that. Reel in your people, Janelle. Jesus Christ.
That's right.
As far as I'm concerned, she's like the somewhat, you know, I was gonna make a fucking reference to Russ Christie, and I fucking can't. Janelle's too much of a sweetheart. I can't fucking do that. But God damn it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I say that. I'm gonna be down there in a couple of weeks. And we're gonna have a good time. We are gonna have a blast. I'm hoping that my chill steel pipe arrives, because I know that both Chris and Brandon are both really going to enjoy this, because I'm coming down armed with jigglers, and they're going to be camping with me for one night. Yeah, I might be down there for two, but who knows? We'll play it by ear. We'll see what happens. We're going to have ourselves a good time. It'll be a blast. Let's take a quick break. Oh wait, Joe, did you want to do a gear of the week this week and go over anything?
Let's do it.
You want to do it?
Give it to me.
I'm here for it. I like that. I like that.
Okay, gearheads, it's time to talk tools. Jigs and Biggs gear of the week.
Listen up, everybody. I'm going to give you a little. I'm not going to give you anything because my computer doesn't want to type for some reason. A little tip on what we're using up on the St. Lawrence River. So obviously, you know, it was the Fish or Die Bait Company content week, so I was using Fish or Die baits. But specifically, we were using this guy right here, the Fish or Die Bait Company 3.6, the Gadsden. The Gadsden is what we are primarily catching them on. I was also using the sharpshooter, which is actually was a Ned bait, but it was working great for drop shots as well. My computer's glitching out here. Let me show you this. So for those of you who haven't seen the Gadsden, this is the drop shot bait.
Yep.
This is the drop shot bait that you guys have to get, whether it's on Tackle Warehouse like I'm about to show you, or if it's on the Fish or Die Bait Company website. You guys need to get yourself some bags of the Gadsdens.
Yeah, those are solid.
We caught so many fish on. I mean, I just almost every fish I caught is actually. Let me see if they have the white here. Oh, he does have the white on Tackle Warehouse. So I was actually using the white.
Yep.
And this one right here. Man, I love those baits,
such a good profile,
especially with the eyes and everything. They are just such a stellar drop shot bait. And on top of that, we were using the sharpshooter. I was dropped because I ran out. I ran out of the white ones.
Yep.
And obviously we were doing a lot of sight fishing. And the white was what I was able to see the best. So I had white sharpshooter. So I went over that. They hit those, and Taylor was using the shredder, which is going to be dropping here pretty soon.
Yeah.
So he was using that as well, and they were killing them. So guys, go whether you're going to Tackle Warehouse for the Fish or Die Gadsden, that's Gadsden, go get yourself a pack. I promise you, these are going to be some of the best drop shot baits you've ever used. Again, Tackle Warehouse, or you can go right on the Fish or Die Bait Company website. I think he has more colors on his website than Tackle Warehouse has.
For sure, yeah.
But please go check them out. I absolutely love these things. It's pretty much the only thing I drop shot with. So
It's such an ideal, and that 3.6 inch size is like perfect. It's right.
Perfect.
It's small enough to really, you know, to be able to be effective as far as getting a bite, but it's also not super tiny where you know, it's like it just right in the middle. It's an ideal. So you get like a light one, like a white one, or like this here with a silver flake. You get like a natural one, and then a dark one. You kind of have it covered for a lot of different water conditions and different water colors. So you can fool around a lot with that. That's pretty badass.
They're scented.
Custom,
They're potent. They are just great baits. Great baits.
Badass, dude. I freaking love that. That is awesome. It's so funny you say that, like, because I set up my drop shot combo. I had I used a Ned bait. It happened to be, it was a Ned bait that we had gotten from Arsenal out of one of the Dark Horse tackle boxes. And did I get bit on that at all? I think I threw it for like 2 casts just to see, you know, just to see if it was going to get bit, and it was in this one deep spot. But I probably could have used a much heavier drop shot weight than I was using. I think I was throwing like an 8 ounce. I probably should have used a quarter. 100% would have gotten things done much quicker. But unbelievable, dude. That is awesome. Well, why don't we go ahead? We're going to do this. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, we've got Justin from Chill Steel Pipes. If you are like Bobby Roast Beef and you enjoy kind of rewarding yourself for a day out on the water with some herbal refreshment, and you like cold bong hits or apparently warm water bong hits, if that's your thing, this might be your thing. Or to take in camp, or it's durable, it's amazing, it's a great story, and we have a little bit of an offer for Jigs and Bigs listeners. In that interview, Justin drops the bomb. You guys can save $20 off the purchase of a double wall insulated chill steel pipe, water pipe, and you can save yourself $20 with the code Jigs and Bigs at checkout. That's pretty badass. $20 is $20. That's not bad. It's pretty good savings. And we will, and then after that, we've got AJ Beaudoin with us from Battlefish Academy. Don't go too far. Much more Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this. We'll see you in a bit. Alrighty, guys, Bobby Roast Beef back in here for our interview segment right here. This week, we have 2. We have AJ Beaudoin with Battlefish Academy. That's coming up. But we've got Justin Johnson here from a company called Chill Steel Pipes. And I want to talk a little bit about that because it was maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I saw an ad come across for a very specific product on Instagram. And I was blown away with what I was seeing because it's kind of what I've been looking for, to be perfectly honest here. What chill? Well, actually, we'll disclose what that is in just a moment. Let me go ahead and welcome our guest, Justin. How you doing, buddy? How are things?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. My first question here is, this is going to kind of lead things up. Justin, are you familiar with the term fish whistle at all?
Fish whistle. I feel like I am, but I don't. I can't. Connect the dots here.
It's a slang term, and the Jigs and Bigs typical listener seems to be a very big user of this. It's very common vernacular for the Jigs and Bigs listener, I feel. There are bread and butter, and so I'll give you the AI-generated definitions of what a fish whistle is. The term fish whistle can refer to 2 distinct things: a superstitious practice in fishing or a product name for a fishing accessory. The fishing accessory is real. That's a thing. And I'll explain what those are. But in the context of fishing, it's a slang term for smoking cannabis while fishing, believed by some to increase the chances of catching. Alternatively, a fish whistle can be the name of like a fishing bait, and specifically a product from Sims, which is a pouch that you could store your fish whistle in, I think is what they're going with there. But as far as the slang term goes, the term fish whistle is often used by anglers, particularly those who enjoy recreational cannabis, to refer to smoking while fishing. Some anglers believe that smoking a fish whistle can improve their luck, make them stay on the water longer, potentially leading to more catches. The practice is often associated with the superstitious belief that certain activities like smoking while fishing can influence the outcome of a fishing trip. I have now is it are the dots starting to come together? You're like, okay.
It definitely influences your attitude sitting there on the water.
Oh, for sure, man.
Extending the trip, definitely makes everything more pleasant.
And I approach it in a different way. I don't think of it as a good luck. I think of it more as a reward. So the way I like to do it is I'll go out, set up with my stuff. And there's the thing is with cannabis, it's like fishing. There's a million ways to do it. You could fly fish, you could bait finesse fish, you could fish giant swim baits, you could saltwater fish, you could do all kinds of things. With cannabis, there's edibles, there's concentrates, there's flour, there's smoking, there's vaping. There's a lot of different ways. And I mean, let's not even get into topical products and things like that. There's lots of different ways that you can consume cannabis. But what I've found is that there is a large enough group of anglers who are cool. You know what I mean? For lack of a better way of putting it, that they like to party a little bit. And you guys have an item, and I'm going to go by describing it, and I want you to go even further than that. So this item that I saw in this ad is a bong, and it is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's all steel construction, so it's tough and durable. That's a big deal because when you're out on the water or just in the elements, like tromping around along the bank, you don't want to bring a nice glass piece that you could potentially drop on some rocks and lose. You know what I mean? But it's double wall insulation, which is wild to me because there is nothing better than an ice cold bong rip. Right? Am I right?
Right. Yeah, no, it's the best.
There's nothing better. And the other thing that...
genesis of the company.
And I know that there's a lot of folks that think they're just like, they're like adding ice to a water pipe is just kind of like, that's an amateur move. I've heard that from some purists, and I'm like... You do you, boo-boo. You know what I mean? It's like, I just
Some people like warm water.
Yeah. That's which I think.
And we keep water warmer longer too.
And that's the thing about that insulation. So whichever way the pendulum you swing on, it can benefit you. But the other thing that I like about it is that it's packable. Like you can, it's modular. So you can take it apart and then pack it and stow it in a protective bag or something like that in its own place till you're ready to go with it. And I think that is really, really slick. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that would like to have one of these when they're, chilling, on a fishing trip and they're camping, or, they want to have it as a go-to, or they're going to go out, they want to bring it on the boat and they want to load it up with some ice from the cooler and let it rip,
Yeah, or if you need to take it to a place that needs to be hidden on the way in,
that's true too.
Breaking it into pieces is a beneficial factor there, music festivals, those types of things.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that because you could fill it with ice and with water and close it up entirely. Like there's caps for everything, which you thought of it all. Yep. I think it's awesome, man. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about that product, but also walk us through the history of chill steel pipes and how you was there some type of a problem that you were looking to solve that came up with this one specific product?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. There's some ups and downs, and it's a bit of a roller coaster of a story. But Chill's the first world's first double wall vacuum insulated smoking apparatus.
It's amazing,
is what we like to call it. So it's a hydro bong, a Stoneleigh, a Yeti bong. I've heard it all called that before. Double wall vacuum insulated stainless steel, has a ceramic interior. So it's easy to clean and doesn't have any metal taste. It comes apart. It's modular, which makes it also easy to clean, but also, the ability to change up your style and stuff like that. We have a lot of different colors and designs. So since 2019, basically early 2019, I've ran a website called budsfeed.com, budsfeed.com. And it's basically where entrepreneurs share cannabis-related products and services. And the way that I've kind of monetized that in my career is finding amazing new ideas for products and helping people bring those to market. Back in 2019, there's a gentleman named Rich Gonzalez. Rich was basically the director of, like the managing director of the world's largest wholesale water bottle business in America. Made all the water bottles for Walmart, a lot of them for Costco, white label for Starbucks, that kind of thing, as well as a brand that he invented for the company he worked for. And he had an idea for, a double wall vacuum insulated bong. And he went to the process of designing it and shaping it, figuring out how to manufacture it. And I basically told him, I saw it. I'd seen thousands of products at that point in my life, and I told him if he finished the tooling and made it something that we could manufacture at scale, that I'd be a CMO and we would go get the funding that we needed to make it happen. So he did, and we did. And, basically in April of 2021, we went through COVID, obviously, that whole time. He and I were sitting at home, just working on this project together, getting the manufacturing done. And we launched in April of 2021 and had an incredible year. And, his whole thing was people like ice cold bong rips, right?
Of course.
And there's a lot of concerns around people like putting it in the neck of an ice catcher and stuff like that. Sure. And that's where a lot of people seem to have problems, but nobody complains about having nice ice cold water, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And he was one of the people, one of a few people in the world that was uniquely understood how to manufacture something like this. So he, did the tooling, applied for the patent. We basically have the patent on the world's only insulated bong.
That's awesome.
It doesn't matter if it's vacuum insulated or whatever it is. Like,
what
we
a
have
flex.
The insulated bong patent.
yeah,
right.
That's awesome.
And so, amongst others that we're pursuing, right now, and we move forward. And so it was really great. It was an incredible launch. He moved to Colorado. I'm from New York, and he was in New Jersey when this all went down. He moved out to Colorado. Had a great first year. Really actually leaned into, we always knew we could hit that outdoor community, and we really leaned into more of a feminine marketing approach and going towards a lot of women consumers with our colorways and stuff like that. Like that was a really a focus for us, because we felt like you could always steer it back towards, we have stainless steel and black and green and armored black and gunmetal, right? We have all the manly colors too. And I felt like, we could always kind of steer back into that masculine colorway. And, but we really went that approach of, this is kind of is all coinciding with Stanley getting incredibly popular again.
The timing
because
is
of that
perfect.
Fucking TikTok video.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And so, so that's how it all happened. There is a twist. I don't know if you want me to get into the twist yet.
No, go for it. I love an M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Okay, it's pretty brutal. So we were doing really good. February 2022, we fly to Las Vegas. We set up our new warehouse. We start to, get set up for the future of the business. Yep. Rich isn't feeling well, right?
No. Oh no!
And we're like, what's going on? And he kept having this pain in the middle of his back. By the way, if you have pain between your shoulder blades, this is a PSA. We didn't know what was wrong. We took him to the hospital. He made it through the weekend, and then he got home. Got home within a week. He was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Within 2 months, he couldn't really get out of bed that much. Yeah. And then within 8 months, he was dead.
Oh my God.
And so, this was his vision. This is his dream. I'm the CEO now.
Yeah.
Right. But that's because, he was gone. So the cool part about that story is he left a legacy of a product that is only getting more popular, substantially more popular since he's left us, right? Which you'd be super proud of. The other great thing about it is that the about 61% of the company, a little over 60%, is in a trust for his 5-year-old daughter. So it's actually chill. This bong company is majority owned by a 5-year-old little girl named Haley.
That's awesome, dude. I love that.
Yeah.
And wow, man, that's wild. That's
twists and turns, man.
It really is.
And it's already a crazy industry, and you don't ever expect something like that to happen,
And especially like pancreatic cancer, I've got a very close friend of mine who was very lucky. It was right about that COVID time too, and he had some issues. Like he was all like looked like jaundiced, and he was like, I got to go see my doctor. I don't know what the hell's going on, and they caught it. It was like stage 1, which is rare that they catch it, and he was.
And he got the Whipple surgery.
42. I'm not sure if that was the surgery. He did have a surgery, went through chemo, the whole 9 yards, and knock on wood, he has essentially beaten pancreatic cancer, which is like it's very difficult.
Insane.
It's not one that you catch that early because you don't have symptoms until sometimes it's so late, and that's awful for Rich.
Yeah, it's usually like when you're getting gallbladder surgery or something like that. That's usually when they find it. It's got to be an internal procedure for them to discover it because it's tucked away behind all the goods. Like even an ultrasound's not going to find it,
No, and I think now that I think about it, I think it was his gallbladder, as a matter of fact, that was giving him a hard time.
Yeah, he was having gallbladder issues. Yeah. And a lot of people, they have to get their gallbladder removed. That's pretty common.
Very common.
And there's a lot of relationship between your gallbladder and your pancreas.
Yeah.
And if you start to feel like extreme pain between your upper shoulder blades, stuff like that, that's signs of pancreatitis. It could just be pancreatitis, which is like a livable, but that's my PSA is like,
Dude, it's wild.
Get know the symptoms and get checked out, man. Don't take no for an answer from your doctors if you're really not
for sure
feeling 100.
You can't fool around with that at whatsoever, man. But I mean, very cool that you guys are able to do this with the company to help support his kids, you know what I mean, and like have a trust set up. That's very, very super admirable, and like I think that's the way things should be, But let's get back to like the connection with the outdoors, with this specific product and everything. Have you guys tried this? I'm curious. Will it insulate? Like if you wanted to have ice cold bong rips and you were to load this puppy up and you were out, let's say enjoying a winter sport like ice fishing, would it freeze or would it insulate to keep that just at that temp where it's not going to freeze?
It would insulate it.
It would insulate?
Yeah, it's not going to. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, external and internal temperatures do impact the other layer to some extent. But the insulation, like if it's super ice cold inside of it, it will be room temperature on the outside. So similarly, if it's super cold on the outside, it's going to be the temperature inside that's relative to what's inside of it, right? But in that environment, it would probably last. I mean, because of the added external temperature, it could last
that much longer.
If you filled it up to the top, maybe up to 2 days.
Yeah,
because right now, like the longest I've ever had it last is about 24 hours for myself.
Yep.
We launched in Vegas at a show called Champs back in the day, and it was about 115 degrees outside in Vegas. And we had 10 of them out on the balcony at the Cosmo, and that ice stayed cold in those things for about 10 hours.
In that kind of conditions, that's
temperature
very impressive.
It's actually heat is less of a factor, and external temperature is less of a factor. I find that humidity point's more of a factor.
I can see
that. Like where's like the evaporation of it. Like if you're on the East Coast, you might get a little bit of sweating around your downstem area because that's the one area where there's some sort of gap that air can go through.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No,
that's pretty awesome though. Because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like folks that ice fish. Some of these folks up north, like where I am, we had our first good winter where we had folks on the ice for an extended amount of time. If you go out with something like this, you're in a little shanty doing nothing sometimes, just looking at a flasher, hoping to get that little yellow perch to come over. Maybe you've earned a bong rip or two if you do catch a couple. You know what I'm saying? And
I live in Wisconsin now. I'm going to make videos this next year just about this topic.
Hell yeah. I'm telling you, I think this is huge. And it's like it's one of those things where I think that the idea, the novelty of going out with a bong, when you're out, camping or anything like that, like. I've heard it, I don't know how many times. People will have a glass piece and they drop it and it hits like the fire pit or something like that. And then it's done,
And the other alternatives are like stinky silicone ones or some sort of cheap plastic thing, which is just really not great for you. It's and the lids are actually a recent development. I mean, I think I designed those maybe a year and a half ago. So I always wanted to have a lid set. But making like plastic molds and stuff like that is really expensive. And so what I did is I just decided to make them premium. So I got a block of aluminum and I make a 3 lid combo set. So you get a normal lid. It's just got kind of a ridged enclosure, just, kind of like a nice water bottle. And then we have one with a carabiner loop. So you can pop it on the carabiner.
Oh, and then
we have,
hang it. That's great.
Yeah, and then we have and then we have the plug, and the plug is basically you take the downstem out, and the plug goes into the gasket.
Yep, that's genius.
Right, and it spreads out the gasket enough to make it watertight. So you can fill it with ice water, warm water, whatever you want.
Yep. Throw
it in your bag, carabiner it off your bag, and then just throw the tube in the backpack and even the downstem on these things. Nobody's gonna be able to see it at home, but everything breaks down.
That's awesome. It makes it so easy to be able to carry.
Yeah, and you can throw that in a little baggie or something like that. Very easy to clean as well, right?
Yep.
You just the downstems are actually super popular on their own, to be honest with you. Because they're just unbreakable. People even buy them for their glass bombs.
Oh yeah. Oh, I could 100% see the appeal of that. That is freaking awesome. So let's talk a little bit about fishing here, just for a bit. So you mentioned that you're a little familiar with fishing. You've got, what are your typical like targeted species and like tactics? Like, what's your approach?
I would say growing up in the Pacific Northwest, but in the eastern side primarily, I mostly fish for trout of various kinds in either Idaho, like on the rivers or in the lakes of Idaho and Montana, stuff like that. We'd go down and we would certain lakes or rivers, we'd hit like whitefish or perch, but those were just always catch and release. That's just to fish, to pass time and catch something. For sure. And then a lot of salmon, like out off the Puget Sound and stuff like that, pinks mostly. Nothing too crazy. We did some crabbing and stuff like that as well when I was growing up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But that's like the two most quintessential Washington fish, right?
Totally is.
Salmon and
trout
and some sort of trout.
Oh, absolutely, it is
rainbow mostly.
Yep, for sure. Now, were you primarily fly fish, or are you more conventional?
When I would do salmon fishing, we would troll usually, and then if it were like trout, usually we just go put the boat out in the middle of the lake or really cast right off the shore right there. And
gotcha. So you're more or less
a bobber.
Conventional stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when I trout fish, I usually am more conventional fishing anyway. It's just my preferred style. I've fly fished a little bit, but only, that's like a whole leap that I'm not ready to take just yet.
Yeah. I think my dad liked fishing. Like my dad liked fishing. We like fish. We like to eat fish.
Yep.
I think growing up, it became one of those things where he could take me out and you basically get to sit outside all day, drink some beers.
That's exactly
it.
Yeah.
I stayed entertained, especially if he took me to like a little lake where it was all stocked, and I was catching one every 15, 20 minutes.
Yep. Keeps it going. Yeah.
He could enjoy himself for 3 or 4 hours and
relax a little bit.
I wouldn't complain.
No, absolutely, man. That's awesome. So before we go ahead and we wrap this up, I usually, with every guest that we have, especially for their first time on the show, what I'd like to do is have you share 2 stories. And what I'm looking for is like a fishing story that, like, let's say you're at like an event or something and somebody sees you at the bar and they're like, oh, hey, I heard you, so-and-so, you mentioned that you like to fish. What is that story that you would share about like either a great catch or like something that was just really memorable, like the first like fishing story you would think to share? But the other story I want is where it all kind of went, where it was the epic fail, where it was just bad. Maybe somebody got a hook in them, like whatever it might be, something like that.
Okay. I would actually say the most imprinted fishing story in my head was I wasn't even on it. I was probably like 3 or 4 years, probably like 4 years old.
Yep.
And I woke up and my dad had come back from a night fish on the Puget Sound and had 2 salmon that were the size of my thigh. You know, they were
huge.
The fish were almost as long as me.
That's awesome.
And he had 2 of them. And we're, you know, he's getting them out and he's cleaning them and stuff like that in the backyard. And it's probably like, I don't know, I'm a little kid, so maybe it's only like 10 or 11 at night. Like
still,
it
yeah.
felt like it was like 2 in the morning, right? And I have pictures of me holding them and stuff like that. And like, I was like really proud of my dad. Like it was my hero. Like look what he brought home. It was like, because they were just, I mean, they were epic. They were huge. I don't think I've ever caught, or I don't even know if he's ever caught fish this big ever again in his life.
There is something so...
I think they're king salmon.
Yeah, there's something so primal about when you hook into a large fish. And, I mean, it's even more intense, like, when it's a species that you've caught for the very first time. Like, it was 420, oddly enough. It was this last Easter.
There we go.
I was... celebrating on Lake St. Clair with one of our listeners. And I hooked into my first steelhead for, the first time. And I was like, hey, this is on a bass jig, on a big swim jig, a 1/2 ounce jig with like a 5-inch swim bait on the back. This fish had no business biting this. It was like a 19.5-inch fish. Absolute just monster. I couldn't believe it. And it was our last day there. We were staying that night. We were going to record a podcast and then come home. And I was like, I told my buddy Todd, though we were fishing together, I was like, hey, do you like trout? He's like, I've never had it. I was like, do you like salmon? And he was like, no. I'm like, then we're releasing this. I was like, because this is way too much fish for me to be able to eat. And at one time, because I'm like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. We're going to smoke it.
We're going to smoke a lot.
That's what we're going to do. But I'm like, we're going to do it right. We're going to smoke it. But I'm like, it's just too much for me to eat. It's got to be fresh. I got to drive 12 hours back to Massachusetts. I'm like, it's not going to be the quality won't be there by the time I get it home. Even if I freeze it and I bring it home in the cooler and everything, it's just not going to be that good. So I'm like, we're going to release them. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit to do that. But I'm like, man, this is one hell of a fish. One hell of a fish. And it's just like this. I lost my mind. There's actually a YouTube video. I'll send it over to you. You can see it. I lost my freaking mind. My marble gone.
When you let it go?
No, when I caught it, I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was not at all like we were in a spot where I had, and in the video you'll see, I hooked up with a muskie the day before when we were in a tournament, and this was on really, really light finesse gear, and it broke me off right at the boat. And I was in denial. I was like, we're going to call it a pike. I've caught plenty of pike. We're going to call it a pike, not a muskie, because that would have been my first muskie. And, I happened to catch a bite probably about 45 minutes before I caught the steelhead on this day. And again, it broke me off, but at a distance. And I was like, I'm in this area. I was like, maybe it's weedy. Maybe I can find this muskie. So I switched over to a swim jig that had a little bit more oomph, like the 4-wheel drive to be able to throw it into some thick stuff. And I'm throwing this around and it's got much heavier line. And that's when I hooked that steelhead. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what is even happening here? I've never fished that body of water in my life. And it was just bananas. Just nuts.
Amazing. And that was in Michigan?
That was in Michigan on Lake St. Clair. It was absolutely unbelievable. It was probably the best 420 experience I've had in my entire life. And we were all weekend long, we were smoking these. I wish I had the tube down here. You ever hear a Jeter XL?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we had these pre-rolls from Jeter XL that were just like stupid. They have a glass.
Did you bring them from Mass or did you get them in Michigan?
We got them in Michigan.
Yeah. Michigan's weed is so cheap. It's crazy.
And it's really great. It's really great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I just moved from New York to Madison, Wisconsin.
Yep.
And I drove through Michigan. I got what was it? Is it Iowa below it or Indiana? I can't remember. And I just was like, nope, I'm going through Michigan. And I just drove the whole way through Michigan. We probably picked up a 1/2 pound of weed.
It's out of this world. Like as soon as you go, I crossed over from Toledo and it was just like dispo. And I'm like, I was looking to pre-fish. So I'm like, I'm not going to stop. I know Todd said he's going to stop. I got a friend from Canada who's like, yeah, man. He's like, Michigan's weed is great. And I'm like, I'm sold. I'm sold. Who knew?
So are their fish, probably, man. The fish in
yes,
anywhere up here, like it's really the cleanest bodies of water in the country.
It's true.
It's beautiful up here. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with the winter. I mean, New York winter was just as bad, I suppose. But I was in Vegas last winter actually, and that was the best idea.
That's kind of nice. Yeah, it really is, man. I love Vegas in like the early spring and in the late winter. It's a nice little escape.
When I'm from the East Coast, so to like be there I was there for 3.5 months.
Yep.
Just no snow, all sunshine. That was the best.
Although I will tell you, like I am more and more appreciative of upstate New York fishing as well. Like I did a trip to Cayuga. The last fall, and we had a great time. Like the fishing was abysmal. The conditions turned off, and it just took a huge turn for the worse. But it was an absolute blast. And now it's like I've got.
Did you go to Roscoe?
No. We were at Cayuga. We stayed.
You should go to Roscoe.
I'll check it out. I'm definitely game for it. We stayed actually at a campground right along the Erie Canal. And we went through like 2 locks to get into Cayuga, and we pre-fished that first day. It was hellacious. Actually, we did fine. We found fish where I was expected to find them, looking at the map and everything, but the conditions just pushed them way off. So we're like, we'll stick to the canal. I managed to catch like 3, I think. All of them fell under the minimum for the tournament.
Oh, no.
I'm like,
where in Massachusetts are you?
I'm in Western Mass, just east of the Berkshires.
Okay, so I lived in Wassaic, New York, which is
that's
just
not far at all.
Great Barrington.
Yeah,
Great Barrington.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding.
It's like an hour and a half. I was like an hour and a half from Great Barrington. So if you drive to Roscoe's probably about 3 hours. That's it. So what you do is you go across. You can go across either the Rip Van Winkle Bridge, you can either cross at Kingston.
Yep.
Probably actually, if you go up and you cross at Kingston, New York, I can't remember what it connects to on the other side. I think it's Hudson to Kingston.
Yep.
And you go across, and it's probably 1 more hour after that. There's like Livingston Manor, and then you get into like Roscoe. Roscoe, people tell me, is the Idaho of the Northeast. So if you want trout fishing, people have told me the 2 best places in the world are literally Northern Idaho and Roscoe, New York.
No kidding. That's good to know. That's real good to know.
It's not that far from you.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely worth it. And actually, it's funny. One of my buddies, this is my buddy that got that pancreatic cancer diagnosis. We've fished now for a decade together. Like I picked up fishing later in life, was into it when I was younger, but was like, I need a hobby that's cheap. What a stupid thing that was to think. And we
starts that way.
He and I had never realized he had never ever fished and targeted trout. And then I find out he's never even caught trout as bycatch because we fish a lot of stocked waters. And so we went out, and this son of a bitch caught the trifecta. He caught a rainbow, a brown, and a brook trout. His first day out targeting. I mean, we were throwing with like bait finesse gear. Like these are bait casters designed to throw ultralight baits, and it's so much fun. It's so because it's like you can power fish for these fish, but with a presentation that they'll actually react to. It was unbelievable. So we had a great time. I could probably convince him to go and camp up there. Thank you, Justin. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. That's a good tip.
You can rent cabins up there too for $150 a night, probably something like that. Roscoe you're kind of getting a little bit into the sticks at that point.
Yep.
So it gets a lot cheaper. You just don't have really the edge of the Hudson Valley, right? Like Hudson. Kerhonkson, Kingston, that's where people like coming up from the city get their Airbnbs, it's a little cheaper when you venture out a little more east.
That makes sense.
Or west, sorry.
That makes sense. It makes sense. Awesome. Now, what about the epic fail story? What do you got for us there?
Oh, the epic fail story. It was probably the last time I went fishing. It was September, so it was like towards the end of the season, right?
Yep.
In Montana. And we went, my mom's best friend's from Bozeman. And so we've gone out just like my aunt, her and her husband are like my aunt and uncle, and we've gone out there my entire life, pretty much every summer.
Yep.
And so my parents were out there, and I flew to Montana from New York, and we went out, I can't remember what lake we were on off the top of my head, but, we were out there, and it was the end of the season, and the algae had gotten pretty bad, and that was part of the issue, is creating some visibility. And I think I caught the first fish, but we were like 2 hours in.
Oh,
and I caught a pretty good fish.
That's
but
good.
Collectively, we only caught like 2 fish over 3 days. And legitimately, on our way back that second day, because we fished for 2 days and then we just camped for the last day. Way back to the second day, like we're out in the boat and it's big sky country, right? And then there's mountains.
Yep.
And we see all of a sudden this black thing just roll over the mountain, and we're like, "Oh, what the fuck?" You know, like
that's rough.
Completely like. And you know, we're in a motorboat, but it's a fishing boat. It's not like it's fast, you know.
Sure, yeah.
And so we get that thing whipped around, and we are cranking, and we are trying to get. And my dad's, you know, our friend is like, "Here, put these on," trying to get us rain jackets. And you know, for probably about 25 minutes of that trip, I mean, we were probably 35 minutes out into the middle of this lake, right?
Oh yeah.
And so we're staying ahead of it for about 10 minutes, and then this storm catches up to us, and this thing is it's a dumper.
It's rough. Yeah.
And it's cold, and it's stormy, and by the time, you know, we get back into the, you know, we had a fifth wheel trailer, you know, try to take whatever shit shower you can in that little fifth wheel, you know.
Yep.
Not very warm. And I woke up the next day feeling like I had pneumonia. Like I was just like, it chilled me to the bone, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, the cold fronts come in, and with the rain, and then, like the second you're soaked like that, forget it. Oh, dude, that's brutal. Oh.
Yeah, and I just didn't have, you know, the the gear, right? Like I just didn't. I came out from New York. I had jeans and a cotton sweatshirt on, you know, to keep the sun off me.
Yeah. That's because you would think that, that's going to be it. But man, it can turn around on you. That's crazy. Yeah. That's rough.
Well, I just didn't, you know, especially when I lived in the city, I just didn't have, you know, I'm not packing a ton of fishing gear.
Exactly. No, that totally makes sense, man.
Nowhere to put it.
Justin, this was awesome. I'm positive that there is some Jigs and Bigs family members, some jig heads that would love more information about Chill Steel Pipe. So if you could just, you know, promote yourself a little bit, let folks know where they can get more information, where they can check some of these products out, stuff like that. And if you have anything like coming down the pipe, like any kind of like specials or sales or anything that you want to mention, this is a great time to go ahead and promote that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So you can find everything at chill.store. Yep. There's no .com, just chill.store. You can follow us on Instagram at Getting Chill. If we've been kicked off a social channel, it's probably now Chill Steel Pipes, but it's usually at Getting Chill.
Yep.
So follow us there. Not a lot of specials happening in the summertime. We'll definitely do a 4th of July sale. It'll be like 10% off. But what we'll do for your audience is we'll make a Jigs and Bigs code.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
That'll allow people to get $20 off.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. That's huge, man. Really appreciate that. That's so you guys.
So I'll set up a little affiliate code for you when we're done here, and we'll get you Jigs and Bigs. We'll make that your code.
I love that.
Anybody who buys using your code will get $20 off.
Dude, that is awesome. And I know specifically, I got some folks that I'm going to be fishing with soon in Jersey. They're going to be all about your products, because that's primarily why we're getting together. We're going to go and fish, but like, hey, if we catch something cool, you know, I mean, we're there to camp and get high. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah, for sure.
I love it, man. Justin, thank you so much. It's awesome. Keep us in the loop with, you know, if you have any other products or something coming down the line, we'd love to have you back on and talk about this stuff, because I think Chill is a good fit with the Jigs and Bigs audience.
I'll send you a little gift package. One thing I think people should check out is we created a hookah set. That's like the most interesting new thing that we've been working on. So basically, it's modular like this, right?
Yep.
So you can basically now take that off. You can put a little adapter in the top, and now your downstem can come out the front and go in the top, and then we have a whip that plugs out the front.
That's
so now
amazing.
You could have that sitting on your bench next to you while you're fishing, and have the whip in your mouth, and you could just light it over here and not even have to like hold the bung, and you can sit there and rip it. And you can get a gigantic bowl for it. You can get whatever you want.
Can you use it like with the coals and stuff? Because then that would eliminate the lighter and all that.
You could. You'd have to find the ceramic bowl that goes on top of it. So you probably can get one that will plug into ours. I do like a lot of like dryer vaporization.
Yes.
I think it's so funny. My office is such a mess, but I mean, check it out. Just type it. If you type in Chill Hookah,
yep,
chill
find
hookah
it.
set, you'll find our product on Google. It's very popular, and it basically just I invented it because I'm very big with the dryer vaporization community.
Yep.
So people that don't like to smoke, and so I work very closely with a company called Dynavap.
I love Dynavap. I have one.
Do you?
It's one of my favorite pieces of equipment. Yes.
We just dropped this one today. So I'm the CMO of Dynavap as well.
Shut up. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So
dude,
I'm the
this is
CMO
a
of
good
Dynavap, and I'm also the CEO of Chill.
That's amazing. I love Dynavap. Yeah, they're a Wisconsin-based company. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So we were separate, right? And then when Rich got sick, I called Eric and George, the founders, and we knew each other. And I said, hey, can we do a collaboration together?
Yeah.
I really need to make some money fast because I'm taking over the business.
Yeah.
And, we had a lapse. We had a real big gap in revenue and just the learning curve of trying to run the company.
Yep.
And so they did a collaboration with us, with the Vong and the Chill, and launched it to the Dynaverse. And what I found was that for a lot of people who are into dryer vaporization, especially like older people, this big of a bong was too big.
Yes.
There's too much air. It was too much air. Like I can rip this thing all day. You could probably rip this thing all day. But they wanted a shorter air path. So instead of making a smaller bong, which would cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in tooling to do, I created a way to basically remove all of this air.
that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So,
I'm going to have to.
So it was really designed originally with the Dynavap community in mind, and it's been, well received in that regard.
That's amazing, man. Unbelievable. What a small freaking world.
We just dropped this Dynavap today. It's called the JP Finley.
That
special release. We only have 200 of them.
And it's so funny, man, because that's one of the like Dynavap specifically, I have. We'll talk. I have ideas that would benefit users that want to take advantage of, that don't want to be on like a kayak with like a pre-roll or live flame. You know what I mean? I have an idea that would be so good with the Dynavap for the kayak fishing and boating community that I think would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll introduce you to George. Maybe we do a podcast with George too.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's really funny because Wisconsin, this is like hunting and fishing country. So my partner Eric and my boss on the Dynavap side, he does it all. He's got a house out on a lake and is a fishing guy. But even George, he before Dynavap, he invented like a smartphone based gun mount scope.
No kidding.
Yeah. So basically, you could put your smart. It was a screen based scope that you could put on a gun. So, suffice it to say, they grew up with people like this their entire life. So they're always thinking about this market, just because they know a lot of people like you and I who
and it's
fish or hunt or whatever.
It's a big group of people. It really is.
It's huge. Yeah. You think about obviously, Wisconsin, parts of Minnesota, Michigan, definitely like northern hunting, fishing people. But also, Ohio, people underestimate how big of a state Ohio is. They don't realize how many people live there, So this whole Midwestern area is, it's a way of life for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. That is awesome, man. Dude, we're gonna definitely keep in touch for sure. But you guys heard it first. Check out chill.store and take a look and see what kind of amazing products they have. Justin, thank you so much for being part of the show, man. This was absolutely great.
You.
Awesome, dude. We will we'll definitely stay in touch.
Yeah, let's put that code. We'll put the code in the comments or.
I love that, man. I love that. Hey, stay tuned, guys. We've got just right next now, we've got AJ Beaudoin from Battlefish Academy. We'll find out what that is. If you ever want to open a guide business, are you a veteran that's looking to become an entrepreneur? This could help you. We'll see you guys. All righty, guys, we're back. Another guest in the beef seat, but some of my favorite guests are the ones that we have repeatedly over and over and over. We've got AJ Beaudoin in the house with us. Now, AJ, you may remember from, this goes back a couple of years now, but AJ heads up Battlefish Charters in the upstate New York area, I believe around the Saranac area, right, AJ?
That's correct. Saranac Lake area.
Beautiful, amazing part of the country. Great fishing, obviously. But I'll tell you what, he recently put something on social media that just got me immediately fired up, and it has to do with guide service, but also empowerment, and this is a huge step forward, especially for the veteran community that AJ can speak to a little bit. But and what we're talking about here is something called the Battlefish Guide Academy, which is a partner with which college, AJ?
Paul Smith's College of the Adirondack Mountains.
And that's your alma mater, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought so, which I think is so cool to see things go full circle that way. But before we dive into this, and we're definitely going to dive into it, let's catch up a little bit. Last time we talked, you had a series of different guide services available, both on, in kayaks, on various rivers and lakes, but also ice fishing stuff as well. How's that been going for you over the last couple of years?
Oh, it's been going fantastic.
That's awesome.
I think right now we have 16 guides planning on a rotation for the summer. We have locked down some really cool private resorts that our guides are like the in-house guides for. Ice fishing was incredible this year.
I bet. It was a good year for it.
We put 310 people on the water in
Are you serious? In one day?
One day.
Holy, I thought you were going to say for the year, and that would be impressive to a layman like myself, but in one day, oh my God. Good for you, dude. I'm so glad. I love to see people succeed in their ventures. It's awesome, dude. It is great. And I've had other people bring you up in conversation before that have either looked into your service or maybe even had actually booked with you and done some stuff. And I'm just like, I love hearing that, dude. So congratulations, man. That's really awesome.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Thank you very much. That
is fantastic. So let's dive into what is going on with Battlefish Academy. Let's start let's take that 10,000 foot view and kind of give a breakdown of what it's all about.
Okay. Well, let me summarize Battlefish Academy like this. Battlefish Academy is meant to be a guide school. It's 15 weeks long.
Yep.
It's 15 credits. And it produces a business certificate.
Very nice.
Now, that business certificate is great because those are real college credits. If you stay here at Paul Smith, those transfer into an outdoors rec degree, a 2-year associate's degree, a 4-year bachelor's degree. You can get a degree in eco-psychology or outdoor adventure recreation, business management. It all blends seamlessly right into this, and those credits transfer to any school in the country. So this 15-week-long guide school 12 of those weeks are all online. And I build it like that so a service member who's getting out of the service at any military post around the country can take this program. So those first 12 weeks are online, and then it culminates here at Paul Smith College with a 2-week guide intensive. And so we're going to take all these business classes that we learned, and we want these guys to actually start their own guide service while they're here. And it's really 12 days right now of an intense training. We have wilderness first aid, water safety classes. You're going to figure out how to market to clients, how to find those clients, how to deal with bad clients when you're on the water.
Yep.
We have really cool social media experts coming in like Paulie Martin from Get Real Bass Fishing and Sarah Lansford. They're going to help you not only get more followers, but how to take a better picture of a fish, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to become a fishing guide. Maybe you want to become a hunting guide or a hiking guide, or maybe you just want to be an artist.
Yeah.
It's really a small business program. And I think that's the part that not everybody understands yet, is that while it's tailored towards the guide service, really we're trying to teach you to become a successful small business owner.
Yeah, yeah. And I could see where that would be there would be a massive demand for that, especially with the veteran community. A lot of these folks are coming back to civilian life. And I'll be honest with you, like, working for somebody else is kind of difficult. The idea of working for the government for all those years and then going and being an entrepreneur can seem very daunting, and seem almost unreachable, I think, to some folks. And I think it's important that you're adding that aspect into it, how to start, the business aspect. That's very cool, man.
Absolutely. We had a TV show that was bought by CBS and aired last Veterans Day to 10 million homes. And the background of that show is that less than 1% of veterans are successful small business owners.
Yeah.
Over 30% of veterans that separate from the service right now already have PTSD on the record.
For sure.
Over 20 veterans per day are committing suicide, and there's over 181,000 veterans currently in prison in the United States right now.
Yeah.
That's 8% of our prison population, with less than 2% of the American population even joining the service.
Yeah.
It seems like our prisons are becoming filled with veterans. I feel like after service, we kind of lose our sense of purpose.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think that there's, this as much as anybody, there's healing in nature.
Yep.
If we immerse ourselves into nature every single day by guiding, we get back out there every single day, we can heal a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
And I promise you, and not everybody's going to agree with this, but you can heal your PTSD. I lost mine on the river somewhere. I don't care where it is.
That's awesome to hear, man. That's great.
Right? Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it really is.
This feeling for all veterans. We deserve it. Or all people in general.
100%. No, I agree wholeheartedly. And, like I said, I think that aspect of like when you have somebody who's lived that same life as you, being involved and giving you some of that feedback so that you can take this and, you nailed it. Being out in the outdoors is healing. It's healing for everybody. But I think that, one of the things that I have really learned is that folks that recreate in the outdoors, there is I would say a massive amount of them that are veterans. And, if you can take that and then, I hate to use the word capitalize on it necessarily, but if you can immerse yourself in it to the point where you can build a career or a business at one level or another, I think that's a home run. What else could you ask for,
Right?
Yep.
Before we had ever met, when I got out of the Army, I was legit crazy. I had PTSD in my record. The first year out of service, I locked myself in my house, and all I did was play video games.
Yeah.
Call of Duty had just come out. I was top 100 in the world, and when I tell you all I did was play video games,
yeah,
it was 17 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing now to look back at that. I had no life. I wasn't spending enough time with my family, my wife, my young son. And, I found Paul Smith's College at one point, and once we stepped foot on their 14,000-acre campus, there was no leaving. They would let me bring my son to school, and we'd trap frogs or net fish or birds or squirrels.
That's so cool.
And holy crap, now I have a bachelor's degree in environmental science with a concentration in fish and wildlife management. And I can talk to people again. I'm outside. Guiding did that for me, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't talk to anyone. I locked myself in my house. And now all of a sudden I'm taking a family down the river, and I'm back to being a team leader in the Army, but without getting shot at, right? I'm still directing traffic. But when you get, a 9-year-old young man into his first fish ever, holy cow, it warms you from the heart.
Sure.
And if you do it every day, life is good, my friend.
Oh, for sure, man. That is awesome, dude. I'm so glad to hear it. I think it's great. So, what's the timeline look like for the Academy? Are you guys is this like you're a pre-launch and you're starting to talk about things, or when can you expect to see people actually enrolling?
Awesome. So we did kind of like a pilot 3-day course last summer, and I'll tell you all about that in a minute. We have just started accepting applications for the first cohort that are going to run through Battlefish Academy.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, the first online course is going to start next month in July, mid-July, and it's going to run, the course will run all the way through October 24th.
Yep.
Our in-person guide intensive, our 12 days will be August 11th through August 22nd. So if you can fit that into your schedule, that's when you have to be here in the Adirondacks. We have a really awesome lodge that the Paul Smith College has given us to house our students in. And we are working on building some tiny homes. So if a veteran that was much like myself wants to come in and they'd be more comfortable with their son or bring in their wife, they can stay right at the lodge, but outside, kind of have a little private space for their family to stay at. We're getting ready to launch it all right now. We're accepting applications for the first 25. I would like to run 4 cohorts this year. And then next year, I'd like to have a continuous flow, meaning we start a new cohort every 3 weeks. Now, students are only allowed to take one class at a time. So they'll start online with like a introduction to marketing class.
Yep.
And it's all tailored towards marketing your guide service. And then this one here, the second class will be our in-person class. If we start a new cohort every 3 weeks, we can essentially have 75 people in our guide school at all times throughout the year.
Yeah.
We can start separating cohorts into niche cohorts, like an ice fishing cohort or a fly fishing cohort, maybe a women's cohort. We have some really cool people interested in helping with these cohorts, such as Cheyenne Orvis.
Yep.
She wants to help stand up an all-women's fly fishing cohort.
That's awesome.
I mean, that is a huge name to want to help with our mission.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so great. I'm so happy for you, dude.
Don't be happy for me. Be happy for all the veterans that are doing great things.
That's true.
Our 3-day pilot program we called Battlefish University this summer was fantastic. It was only 3 days long, but at the end of it, man, it was like I had to say goodbye to 17 new family members that I was just bawling. It was so touching that these guys and gals came from all over the country, as far as Kansas, South Carolina, Montana. One of the guys went back home and started a guide service, and all he's doing is Sasquatch sighting trips. A buddy of his bought the jack-o'-lantern costume. They're fitting everybody into a Flycraft riverboat.
Yep.
There's Sasquatch on the side of the river. Take a quick picture of him. Sasquatch is trying to get away, and the kids love it.
Oh, I'm sure that thing sells out like crazy. That's got to be insane, especially with some of those AI Sasquatch. You've seen some of those memes, right? Like Sasquatch is hot.
It is. You know, opportunity is everywhere in this country. Sometimes you just have to make it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I am so happy about this Battlefish Academy, and it's come full swing. We were just approved through the Department of Defense to be a transition program for the United States Army.
Yep.
And this is going to be available to every single separating soldier. They will literally get paid to come to guide school.
Dude, that's awesome.
This is a home run for sure. Not only for me, for Paul Smith College, for the veteran community.
Yeah, that's a big deal. It really, really is. So let's talk a little bit on the opposite side for folks that are just like, this sounds really cool, but is there a need for that many guides in the field? I am on the side of the camp that's like, yes, there 100% is, because you're talking about, like, in my take of it is, these are folks that when they take the whatever experiences that they have, whether it be in hunting, fishing, specific techniques, targeting different species, whatever the specialty is that they're bringing to it, even a specific body of water, what they're really acting as like a steward for nature. You know, and it's an amazing example to give somebody share your experience with somebody who's probably, you know, looking to either maximize their time out on the water or out in nature, or just somebody who is looking to actually go out and do some stuff and not make some rookie mistakes. You know what I mean? To dabble a little bit and kind of enjoy it. Like, what's your take there as far as how the general public should be looking at available guide services?
You know, I think the outdoor adventure industry is the fastest growing industry in the United States right now. And I'm going to tell you the secret to how I built my business. And this is going to translate for so many people, I think. When I started Battlefish Charters, the intention was to just take veterans out fishing. And I bought a little 14-foot center console Boston whaler.
Yep.
And COVID happened, and New York State put restrictions on all boat charters just as I started my damn business.
I remember that.
So life is all about perspective.
Yeah.
And I sold that Boston whaler. I got $9,000 out of it, and it dawned on me I could buy 9 kayaks. And instead of putting 4 people on the water at once, now I can put 9 people on the water, and we can social distance. Since I was charging by the person, at the time it was $80 a person. Well, $80 times 4 is a lot less than $80 times 9.
Sure.
So that was my entire business plan, is to put as many people on the water as I could. With that, holy crap, 2 years ago, I figured out that we could start running, every guide service pretty much has off seasons, right?
Of course.
Fast season isn't open all year round. You have to switch to something else. Maybe it's fly fishing. There's lulls in every guide service. and we can fill that with federal, state grants taking schools out. Every single town in this country has school systems with kids that don't know how to fish.
Yeah.
And we can utilize grants to produce field trips, after school activities.
Yeah.
Get these kids that are maybe not so fortunate that don't have a kayak at home.
Yep.
We can get the federal government to help us get them out on the water.
For sure.
And that totally fills up your calendar and your blank time. So, maybe you were making $60,000 in the summer, but you had 3 seasons off. Well, now maybe you can make 4 seasons worth of income.
For sure, yeah. No, and I think that's an amazing, probably a resource that some folks aren't even considering as a possibility. But think of just the positive, effect that can have on young kids that are getting, and also like it's helping the school systems enrich what they're able to offer the students that are there. That's awesome. Yeah.
We utilize a community school liaison at all the schools, and that's what their job is.
Yep.
Is to help blend the school and the community together throughout these programs. And they're great at utilizing small businesses locally.
Yeah.
It's not just fishing guide services, right? Here in our town, they do dance classes for the kids or art stuff too.
Yeah.
Not every kid needs fishing, but hey, I think a lot of them have been pretty interested into it. This week, we are doing 10 trips. Well, this next 10 days, we're doing 10 trips, 2 pontoon boats with 20 kids on it each day, and we're floating the Saranac Lake lock system for a historical lock trip. Most of the time, the kids just want to go swimming and inner tubing.
Yep, exactly.
It's the easiest thing, but these kids don't have access to a pontoon boat.
Yep.
And you know what? I don't even own a pontoon boat. We're renting them from a local marina. And it supports everybody in the community. It's just the perfect win-win.
It really is. That's ultimate. That's fantastic. So let's talk to that other group, maybe that listener that's listening right now, and they're like, I have this idea of something that I want to do. Can you just kind of go off, because, guide services do cover a lot. It's not just, hey, I want to go and catch tarpon. I want to go and catch this. Sure, that's, I think, probably what most people think of immediately. What are maybe even some of the ideas that folks have had that have been a little bit unique that have come across your way as far as ways that they might spin their guide business?
That Sasquatch idea.
That's really, a big one, yeah.
I never thought of that. That hit me out of left field. Some of the cool things that have come up have been revolving around holidays. Hey, let's do a haunted Halloween float.
Oh, there you go.
The end of October.
Yep.
That's stirred up a lot of conversation within the school community as well about getting kids involved and how to scare other people. What's another one? We do stuff on the ice. We're in the north, so we do a lot of ice fishing. Around New Year's, we do lots of ice fishing events. We host a lot of field trips at the college now for other schools. Because Paul Smith's is, Battlefish Academy is now a part of Paul Smith's College.
Mm-hmm.
And we're utilizing it as a recruiting tool for high schools. We have all these really cool science programs and forestry programs. So we can just give these other high schools free fishing trips and bring them out ice fishing for the day. And you would not believe how far it goes if you pull out a nice big pike and do a fish survivability test with the kids.
Yeah.
Then put the fish back, and they absolutely go nuts on the science end of that.
That's awesome. That's unbelievable, man. I love that. I have been toying with this idea of getting into the guide service myself, but it's been more specifically about niche techniques, things that I've kind of really sort of fallen in. One of those is like bait finesse fishing. Like, that's a popular one. There's a lot of people who are the appeal of throwing super downsized baits on bait casting gear for a variety of reasons is appealing, but a lot of people don't want to take that step. And over the last year or so, I've acquired a good amount of gear that could be utilized. Like this year, I bought a boat. Last summer. This is my first year. So I bought a beautiful 16.5-foot Lund. Small boat, but super versatile. Like, there's a lot I'm able to do with it. And I've got a bunch of different BFS combos, from light tackle to ultralight tackle and even super, super ultralight stuff. And, I'm considering the idea of bringing folks out there to, kind of teach them about this. I've got a couple of bodies of water that I think of as like stage 1 and stage 2. One of these is just, you could do big numbers, not necessarily impressive size fish, but it works you'll put numbers in the boat and get the technique down with bait finesse fishing. The other
sounds
one,
like a perfect trip to teach kids, right? Catch lots of fish. They love them.
100%. The other one's a little bit more challenging. It's trout river, and it's gin clear. But a lot of people don't think about these techniques. Catching, brook trout on super tiny swim baits and stuff. Like it's a blast. It's a whole lot of fun. So it's like if you're a little bit creative, you can come up with a way to apply that creativity in the outdoors and make a living from it.
100%.
I love that. I'm all about it, dude.
Yeah. The hardest part is trusting yourself to do it.
Yeah, I agree. That's super, super tricky. I love the ice fishing stuff that you've been doing specifically. Like I still can't get over that 300 people in a single day on one body of water. That is crazy. And this is one of those years where it was fantastic. What do you like? It's hard to plan for that. Obviously, you can kind of look at weather trends and things and figure it out. Like this was a really great ice fishing year. When you're obviously up here things get cold and eventually you got to put the kayaks away because it's for most folks it's a little bit too dangerous. Or do you go throughout all the year and go out with dry suits and stuff?
I will go almost the entire year until the lake freezes and. I can go from kayaking to ice fishing in the same day, which is fantastic.
That's really nice. Yeah, that's true. That's really, really cool, man.
Yeah, you do got to throw on some dry suits if you're going to go
for sure.
Cold water. But geez, late fall, early winter, those fish are getting fat. That's when they're at their biggest. They're getting ready for this deep freeze.
Oh, yeah.
They are feeding hard. It is the most fun to get after them when they are so aggressive like that.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I agree 100%. And I think that that's just another great example. There's a lot of folks that they have an apprehension to cold water fishing. Obviously, specifically when it comes to kayak fishing. A lot of folks are just like, yep, after this month, I'm done. I put the kayak away and I'm done. I think that's another really great instance where if you go with a guide, and you can dabble with somebody who's got that experience fishing in super cold water or something like that, and we'll take the precautions like a dry suit and things like that to make sure that it all works out. That's freaking awesome, dude. It's so cool. So if somebody's listening right now and they're interested in Battlefish Academy, how can they get more information? Where should they go? How can they contact you directly if they have any questions or anything?
So visit our website. It's the Paul Smith College website.
Yep.
You can just pull up Battlefish Academy from the drop-down, or it leads you to paulsmith.edu/Battlefish Academy. That website right there is our website. You can apply there. You can find out all the information and dates on the courses. Our phone number and email address is all on there, so people can reach out if they have more questions any way they want.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, man. Well, you guys heard it here. So I hope if you're interested in getting into this, if you're listening and a veteran that's been kind of toying around with the idea of getting into their own business that loves nature, this is a great program for them. Go ahead and suggest Battlefish Academy to them. That is absolutely freaking awesome, man. This is great, AJ. I'm really, really excited for what the future, what's going to come down the road as far as other creative outdoor adventure guides that are out there, or what they can go ahead and create. I think you're doing a really great thing for the veteran community. I think you're doing a really great thing for the outdoor space in general, too. Where would you like to see this go to, say, in the next 5 years?
Oh, geez. There's 3 avenues that this can go.
Okay.
That veterans it's not open to just veterans. Everybody can come to this program. I would like to have some of the folks that may be struggling stay here at Paul Smith College. Stay here and go after a 2-year outdoor adventure rec degree. Get a little bit more education, a little bit more healing in the Adirondacks before you're ready. Some folks are going to be ready to go start their own small business, and I want to just be a backbone, be here for them if they have questions. I also want to be able to offer a franchise opportunity to anyone who graduates as well. Hey, maybe you're not ready to stand on your own feet, but maybe you can go home and be Battlefish Charters, North Dakota.
Sure.
Here's 6 boats. Let's make it happen. And I'll help you until you're ready to step off on your own. Ideally, I would love to see hundreds of people sign up for this program. It's going to be available to over 200,000 separating service members every single year. and that doesn't include any of the veterans at VAs or anywhere else. If I can get hundreds of people to have interest in this program, we can expand it. We can expand it maybe to other schools, niche schools, like someplace up in Alaska or Montana or someplace cool. Maybe focus on saltwater aspect.
For sure.
So we can cater to everybody who needs this or could utilize it.
Yep.
Geez, it could go forever. I'd love to see Battlefish on the moon one day. If there's water, let's fish it.
I like that, man. Absolutely. Didn't they say they found water on Mars?
Did they? Well, then we're gonna have to ice fish.
I know, right? Hell yeah. It's one hell of an auger. Oh man, that is absolutely freaking awesome, dude. I think that this is something that's pretty fantastic, and like there is a community of people that I think would absolutely jump at the chance to create a life for themselves in the outdoors and be able to make a living on there. And I think, you know, I mean, I've been a business owner on my own for the last almost 10 years now. And like there's certainly challenges, you know, like things like COVID that are out of your control or something. But with creativity, and that's the nice thing about owning your own business, is that you're not under somebody else's decision making. You get the freedom to kind of think on your feet and make the best call for what serves your own business and your own interests. And there's a lot of freedom that comes with that. So this is really ultimately what it gets down to, is giving folks that have given so much to their country, you know, and obviously the general public, the opportunity to get that freedom themselves to be able to make their own decisions and stuff. And I think that's huge. They say that owning your own business isn't necessarily for everybody. I've heard that before, that some people find a lot of comfort. So if you do this part-time, this could be a great little side hustle. But, you know, getting some knowledge to get into it to make it seem a little bit more approachable, I think is really beneficial. I hate to talk dollars necessarily, and if you're not necessarily sure what it is, what is it like for somebody to get into this up front? Like, what's it going to cost somebody to get into a program like Battlefish Academy?
Sure. So somebody that is on veteran benefits can get paid to come here. Everything will be taken care of. Someone who's not on veteran benefits, I don't have an exact dollar amount for what the program would cost.
Yeah.
I think that it's around $15,500.
Yep.
However, this is a college. They accept all the financial aid that is out there. So go find the financial aid, get it paid for. We have scholarships. There's a number of ways that you can get it paid for without it having to come out of your pocket.
Definitely. That's fantastic. And that's the thing too. Like, you know, even if you are paying out of pocket to do this, you've got what you've got there is an investment in yourself, you know, and that's, if you're going to work as for yourself, you've got to realize that sometimes you've got to invest in yourself, and you know, that comes in a lot of forms. And definitely something like this, if you get into a program that's going to teach you about some of the stuff that maybe you kind of write off the importance of, like the social media and marketing and elements of the business like that, you're only helping yourself, you know, and not, you know, giving yourself headaches and having to struggle so much by giving yourself a little bit of insight and also making connections and contacts as far as being able to bounce ideas off of other people who have experienced the same program as you. I'm interested to see what will happen in the next 5 years after you've got a good population of alums that are out there, and folks that, like you said, you know, even franchising, but not even necessarily franchising directly, just peers that have learned some of the same tactics and kind of keep one another in check, and, you know, and help one another grow and succeed in their specific niche or region, if it's, you know, you're looking at geographic stuff. So that is pretty awesome. And there is an element of this that is online, so you can get the ball rolling and do a lot of this. And there's some flexibility with online learning, you know, that makes it reachable if this is going to be a side hustle for you, you know?
Right. The reason we built it and the way we built it, online learning, it's all asynchronous.
Yep.
So a soldier could log on at 2 a.m. and knock out all of his work for the entire week.
Yeah.
Or maybe he wants to sit down and, you know, space it out, you know, throughout the day. You can log on anytime you want. You don't have to sit down and be face to face with anybody.
That's awesome. Super convenient.
Yeah.
I love that, man. I absolutely love that. AJ, this is so great. Do me a favor. Promote yourself if you guys are interested in finding out more about what AJ has going on with Battlefish Charters and with Battlefish Academy. Let folks know where they can find you. If they're interested in booking a trip with you, let them know how to do that and what you offer too.
Yeah, awesome. Well, first off, Battlefish Academy, you can visit us at the website. We have social media. It's an Instagram account, PSC Battlefish Academy. That's growing pretty quick. We've only had it for 2 weeks, and we're up to almost 1,500 followers already. I'm super pumped about that. As far as Battlefish Charters, you can go to battlefishcharter.com if you'd like to book a trip. Go to battlefishrods.com. You can buy a fishing rod there that's handmade by veterans.
Yep.
Or you can book a trip there too.
That is awesome, man. Unbelievable. AJ, thank you so much, dude. I'm wishing you nothing but the most success possible in this endeavor and in your own guide service, man. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for this. I was delighted when I first had it come across Instagram, and I was like, this is something else. And I said to Joe, I said, dude, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. Like, this is an interview where I'm just gonna send him a link to the timestamp once it drops and say, listen to this. This is right up your alley. Anything that supports the veteran community is he's super passionate about. Like I think most of us are, but he just put in his paperwork for retirement, I think, or is planning to soon. So
Nice.
yeah, we'll see. I think he's got big goals of being on the Elite Tour. We'll see how that works out for him.
Hey, that's all right. As long as he has goals, right?
That's what I'm saying. I think goals are the most important thing to have. But unbelievable, AJ. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much, man. Do me a favor if you could. Send me a picture of you just holding an absolute giant, and we'll use it for the artwork of this. And if you have a logo for Battlefish Academy, send me that. I'll put that on the cover artwork of this episode, too.
I can do that. I was just named the Vetrepreneur of the Year for New York State. And
No kidding.
I am in the running for National Vetrepreneur. I will send you that photo because they just sent it to me this morning.
That is
And it's
awesome.
beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. You got a lot to be proud of in 2025. That is awesome, dude. Nice job.
It just means that this program's working and
It's
and
doing
veterans-
something. Yeah.
It's going to help somebody. Yeah.
I love that, man. Well, congratulations, dude. We'll be in touch for sure. And let us know anyway if we can help you get the word out, anything like that. We're here for you. So go ahead and reach out.
Awesome sauce, man. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Awesome, buddy. Take care, and you have yourself a good one, all right?
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, take care, pal. Bye-bye.
Hi there. Welcome to the Live Well, where we crack open a ramp beer and attempt to answer all of your burning questions.
Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef. Who the fuck is Joe Brown? It's the Live Well segment of this week's Jigs and Bigs podcast. And you know who we got back in here. You know who we got back in here with not one, but two different questions. And Jigheads, feel free if you want to jump in the comments and drop a question in there. Or you have something that you want to respond to one of these questions from Eli. We'll go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and play this first message right here from Eli.
Hey, it's Eli. Got a question for the Live Well. After listening to Andrew Hayes' podcast with or episode this week with Shanna Gorman, talking about just different bass behaviors, different things. What do you think is the biggest misconception about bass that you believed when you first started fishing? And then also, this is kind of a two-part question. What do you think the biggest misconception about bass fishing is to the general public? So the first one being, what do you think the biggest misconception that you believed when you started bass fishing? And then what do you think the biggest misconception is in bass fishing in general? That's all I got. Have a good day. Bye.
That's
an interesting question.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
And that's the thing. I gotta say, Eli does make us think, and for that I appreciate. Dan, makes a really good point here. He says it gets expensive real quick. So I'm going to I've said this on the show before. I think the biggest thing that was a misconception that I realized was wrong was that I thought this was a cheap hobby. I legitimately thought this was a hobby that I could start and I could just kind of enjoy and whatever. And like, I'm not saying that you have to spend money in order to be successful. You don't. You genuinely don't. Like, that's the thing. But the ability to take it to whatever level you want to take it to is for sure there. And there are plenty of opportunities for you to be spending money on the way, you know? You can do this a million different ways, you know. Dan says here, he goes, I can make a lot off Joe. Wow.
He takes his boat out like once every 2 months.
Dan. Dan. I think
he'd rather be out camping instead.
What's your what do you think is the biggest misconception that you had getting into fishing? It's a tough one.
And it's going to take a second because he's going like this.
He says, we'll see Saturday.
And there's about a minute delay for him.
Oh, man.
It was easy. That's a good one. That's actually a good one.
Yeah, that is a really good one. That it's easy. That is a really good one. There's one that I think if there is one sort of misconception, and I mean, it's slight. You know that saying, 90% of the fish are in 10% of the lake? I think that you can't make that generalization with those percentages. You know what I mean? I feel like you're always going to be able to find a population of fish that are relating to one thing, you know, and you'll always find another population of fish that are relating somewhere else. A good example is like now you have a lot of folks that talk about fish go deep in the summer. And some do. That's true. Yeah. Like some fish do go deep in the summer. But you'll always be able to find those fish that are hanging out shallow in areas where they have overhead cover. So you're going to find them if you've got docks. You'll still be able to find some fish around docks. You'll be able to find some fish around overhanging trees. You'll find fish around lie downs. Like it gets down to like cover and stuff. John says, depends on the species. You're 100% right, but I'm saying bass for the most part. That is kind of I would say, I mean, I don't think you can make that such a broad generalization of it being like 90% of the fish are here, you know, like that's what they do. I feel like there's enough conversation where people are just like, yeah, that's kind of a myth. I don't know. What do you think? Am I off base bringing that up?
No, I think that's good. I think you guys kind of hit all the ones I would have said, but I think I'm gonna go like a step further here, and I think it's outside of like a misconception. I think it's more of misunderstood.
Yes,
like the bass fishing community is very misunderstood.
Yeah,
they don't. This is for many of us. This is our golfing. You know what I mean? This is like we go out and this is some of us. Yes, you do have the people who go and just throw a bobber and a shiner or a worm on on the shore, and that's it. But it's much more and in depth and serious for, people like us, where we, instead of doing that with our kids, which is fine and is fun. I love doing that. We kind of take more of that competitive and scientific approach to it. Any swinging dick can go throw a bobber and a worm, and guess what? You're going to catch 12 to 14 inch bass anywhere. Yeah, you can do that. But that's not what it's about for us. We're looking at the seasonal change of bass, the behavior, as with water temperature, season changing. Where do the big fish go? What are their patterns when it comes to spawn, pre-spawn, post-spawn, winter movements? because we're all looking for that big fish. We're all looking for the big fish. We're all looking for that tournament win. Those of us that do tournaments, and it's much more serious for us than just, and I think it's very misunderstood. Dude, I was scrolling through TikTok a few days ago, and I wanted to make a comment, but I knew I'd get banned.
Yep. And
it was like this chick, just this random chick, and she goes, she's just like in her car, and she goes, I have a hot take. She goes, it's like, to me, is like the most cringe thing. I'm listening. She goes, like a guy that has a profile picture with like holding a fish. She's like, that's just like so gross and just so cringe to me. Blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. It's like, listen, bitch, I don't care. You know what I mean?
I'm not doing this for you.
Yeah, I'm doing this for me, not for you. I don't, whatever. You're ugly anyway. Like, think it's cringe as much as you want. Like, you're a fucking 3.
Wow.
So it's like, I think it's very, the bass fishing in particular is very misunderstood, and just people just don't understand, especially the tournament bass fishing. Like,
I for sure agree with that. It's one of those things where a lot of people just don't get it.
Yeah, and it's and you don't, like, we don't think of it that way. Like, so we had like 6 or 7 boats parked at the hotel up at the St. Lawrence River, and there's some other folks staying there. And this woman comes out, she goes, "Oh my gosh, look at these boats." She's like, "What kind of boats are these? Are these like fishing boats? Like, do you guys fish out of these?" Or like, and like in my mind, I'm like, it's a fucking bass boat. Like, like it's obviously a bass boat, but no, people don't see it that way. You know what I mean?
It doesn't click. Yeah. They're not familiar. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's just
Dan jumps in. He puts a comment in here. He's like, tournament fishing and keeping up with the rest is rough. Also, the new baits. Also, social media will kill you. Stick to your ways and do it right. Competitive fishing is hard. John Hagans goes, bass fishing equals golfing, and I agree with that. For a lot of folks, it totally is 100%. Especially just the way that it truly is like the mainstream fishing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then he goes, catfishing is like a Saturday night bender and a bar fight. Yeah. Both of them leave you greasy and a little bit sore, I think. And that's pretty much accurate, I think.
What would trout fishing be equal to? I know.
What's that?
Pickleball.
Oh, pickleball. Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, that's
trout
even better.
Fishing's like pickleball.
It is.
Or like polo.
Or polo croquet.
Croquet.
Really, really upscale.
Just in the park.
Binya throws this out there. He says the myth that big baits only catch big fish. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about that on other content too about that, and it's like, I think that people get these myths wrong. They're always looking for absolutes.
Big fish, big bait.
Well, big baits can tend to ward off the smaller fish, making it seem like they're catching bigger fish. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get that little dink that's going to have no business hitting that massive crankbait or that massive glide. Just they've got all the ambition in the world. Pat Martin says, he goes, Thursday afternoon, it was hot as hell. I hit a spinnerbait fish less than a foot off the bank, tucked into a rock in inches of water. And that's the thing. There's exceptions to these rules, What else do we have? Every fish that you see on social is every 1 out of 10. That's true, too. You're not seeing it. Trout fishing in the Chestnut Park.
I think Pat Martin. I think Pat Martin might have won it.
I was going to say panhandling, but you never. Oh my goodness! Yeah, it is nuts, and I think that there's a lot of things, and it happens. Like we mentioned this actually, I think last week when I think it was actually Eli's call, and he was like, what bait could you throw and have success 100% of the time? And I'm like, there are no real absolutes like that. Like, you might have the confidence, but it doesn't mean that it's a for sure. And everybody's got that spot, too. They're like, oh, we're going to go here. We're going to catch them. I always catch fish when I get there. The moment somebody says that, I'm like... You shanked it. You shanked it, you know?
Yep.
So let's go ahead and jump into this next one from Eli. This is a little bit shorter of a call, and he gets right to it. Let's see what we got.
Hey guys, Eli, got another question for the live well. When I'm frog fishing is probably one of the only times that I use probably a true follow-up bait. I'll throw the frog out there. If I miss on the frog, I'll throw a punching rig. Right now, probably the Corman Mule from Dark Horse is my go-to punching rig that I'll throw right in that hole that they just jump. But what is your favorite 1-2 combo when it comes to a follow-up bait when you're fishing? Have a great day. See you guys.
That's an interesting one because I don't just do this with topwater.
Nah, same.
Yeah,
Same.
I do this with everything that I throw. I have like something that, and I will say this, like generally it's a moving bait of some sort. You know, it might be a topwater, but it'll be like it's something that's moving and what, you know, what's the cadence like for that? So it might be if I'm swimming like a bladed jig or something like that, and the conditions are making me think that they're going to be active and moving, my follow-up might be a jerk bait, you know? Something that I can just kind of pause in that area. It might be that. I will say this, oftentimes for me, it's some sort of a jig. Oftentimes. And the reason is it'll be, unless it's like something where I need to throw like a weightless soft plastic or something. So then I'll throw something that's like Texas rigged, because that way it's like if the hit was near cover, I don't want to throw like an open hook Ned and be like, oh, here we go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like even what I was throwing, like that juvie crawl, you know, I want to throw something that's Texas rigged, that's got a little bit of an insurance policy that I can chuck it where I need to. One of the best instances that I can remember ever, like a follow-up bait, just like getting it done, was I was throwing not a huge rat, but I was throwing a big wake bait. It was like a 40 size Spro, and I was just killing them. Like I was getting blow up after blow up, and I was putting fish in the boat all over the place with this. And there was one day, or this one area of this one spot where I was fishing, and we had submergent grass. And when I see this, I like to throw a good loud wake bait over this. And we had cloudy skies, and we had there was a light wind at best. And I'm just throwing this bait, and it's just clack, 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 blow up. As soon as I miss that blow up, I reel it as fast as I can, and I threw a 3/8 ounce jig. But I think it was like a PB&J jig with a crawl trailer. Threw it right over there, hooked up right away.
Yeah.
You know, something like that is just a go-to. It's a confidence thing for me, especially because you can throw a jig anywhere. You know, if they're hitting something that's a little bit more subtle, it might be like a weightless Texas rig. Something like on a spinning combo, might be a stick bait. It might be, you know, that's real. It could be a fluke too, something like that.
Yep.
You know, what about you, Joe?
Oh man, I've never really thought of it, but I know exactly what I do. So if I'm doing a search bait and I miss a strike, what you got to think about is if they got the hooks, they're going to be super apprehensive of hitting anything else.
Exactly.
So if I have like some kind of search bait where there's a jerk bait, spinner bait, well, whatever. If I think that they, especially treble hooks, like a crankbait or something, they cut those hooks, I'm definitely slowing it. Dude, it's my 75% of the time, my follow-on bait is a fucking wacky rig, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's something slow, like kind of like, hey, maybe I injured whatever that is. Now it's kind of like all slow, kind of fucked up. Let me go in for the reattack.
Go for the kill. Yeah.
When it comes to if I'm already using a finesse bait or something, I just follow back up with that, usually a different color or something. When it comes to frogs, let's talk about frogging. Sorry, wicked funny story, because I'm sitting here like going like this, like making funny faces. Totally off topic. I'm going to tell you this because it's kind of funny. I was feeding the dogs today, and I give them a little bit of fish oil, like in a squirt bottle each time.
Yeah, I know.
And like I did it, dude, and then I was like, oh god, I got a piece of hair in my mouth. I went, and put it, like not thinking, put it right in my mouth, dude. Yeah. And I've had that taste in my mouth for the last 2 hours. But anyway, so when it comes to frog fishing, Dude, chances are, if you miss a frog, they didn't get stuck by the hooks.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that frog back. I'm going to slow it down, but be louder, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to move it much faster, but they're going to be much more aggressive movements, and that's always played out very well for me. If I think that they may have touched the hooks, I'm going to do it. And this is 60% of the time, it works every time type deal.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to throw a fucking wacky in there in those pads. And if he takes it, I might get him out. I might break off. I don't know, because I'm throwing a fucking spinning rod out there. But yeah, so because I want that. If something spooked them, I want that real slow movement, because chances are they're going to be all fucked up. They're going to be like, oh, well, what the hell was that just pierced my face? But
you want it to look stunned.
It's going for more of a feeding strike when it comes to the frog on the top to reactions. Now you're just trying to get a reaction strike. So that's what I'm going to throw that wacky, or if I don't think they touch the hooks, I'm just throwing that frog again. I'm just slowing it down, but making more aggressive movements.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes sense. I know a lot of people who are always like, I always throw a wacky as my follow-up bait, and it'll definitely do the job. It's weird. Those, I only throw a wacky with like real intention,
Yep.
But yeah, I think like you can't go wrong with like a stick bait or something like that, like anything like a float, anything slow is going to help. So that's one of the reasons too, like why I like a jig, is because sometimes like I can throw a lighter jig, like a finesse jig that's like an 1/8 ounce, but that skirt material will slow it down, and that helps. That helps quite a bit. But yeah, it's just freaking nuts, man.
Another good follow-on bait for like search baits, and if I'm not throwing a wacky, that other like 20% of the time, it's a jerk bait. Just slowing it down, pause, and make it look like now there's an injured fish in there. So
yeah, it really is, especially like if you're like ripping like a lipless and like you're not connecting with them. You throw that jerk bait, and when you're on that pause, they might hammer it simply because it's sitting there for a second.
Dude, it's so crazy how many people put away the jerk bait after spring and don't take it back out again till fall.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where earlier in the comments when we were talking about Eli's question, Dan put like, people get so hung up on social media and stuff.
That's one.
And then like, dude, that happens to me. I'm sure that's happened to you too, where I'm like, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. Then you're like, man, this ain't going to fucking work. You know what I mean? And so yeah, dude, I have a jerk bait on my deck all year round for every fishing outing I do.
It makes sense. It's so weird. Like, you talk about social media getting in people's heads. There is a video that I watched from Bass Geek, and he was talking about water clarity and lure selection, and he was like, look, he's like, if you have water clarity that's like more than 3 foot visibility, throwing like a hard bait is not necessarily the best application. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't look as natural. Like, I mean, just by, the way that these presentations work, a soft plastic is going to look much more natural in the water than a hard plastic bait. And I'm like, man, there's something to that. So I'm always trying to take into consideration like watercolor and visibility, and play that, by ear. But I'll tell you what, like, a lot of folks talk about, and they specifically jerk baits, you just said people put them away after we get to March or April. And they're just like, oh yeah, the jerk bait bite is done. At the end of the day, really, what you got to do is keep in mind, there are more than just suspending jerk baits. Like, floating jerk baits are a great application to give a different topwater sort of experience for that very subsurface, because you're doing something different than your popper can do, or that your walking bait's going to do. And it's, it's something to keep on hand, or at least consider, if nothing else. Too many people watch the pros and others. Oh, dude, that's just human nature. Everybody wants to know what the juice is that's going to just do the job for them. You know why? Because people are parasites. We are always looking for the path of least resistance. It's just the way that it is, do your thing and do what works. I've left my electronics covered since May and went old school. There you go. Oh, my goodness. What a show, Joe.
What a show.
What an amazing show. I mean, here we are. We're 2 hours in. I haven't even added the interviews into this show. I mean, this is just packed with all kinds of goodness, guys. I'm very, very excited. This week, one of the things that I have to do, it's probably going to be Wednesday or Thursday. I'm going to be updating links for registration for July stuff. And I'm going to get the tournaments all set up for what essentially is going to be the remainder of the year. And I am going to talk with Sarah Parvin about doing some kind of a collaboration for a bluegill tournament, man. I think that would be a whole lot of fun. You know? Even if maybe it was just amongst content creators, just to kind of like have some fun, you know, and just fucking get weird. I'm just all about getting weird, man.
That's it.
You got anything you want to wrap up with before we put a fork in this sucker?
No, that's it, man. Appreciate you guys. I did drop a new video on YouTube of the first day up at St. Lawrence River. So go check that out. American Vet Fishing on YouTube. And do me a favor, freaking subscribe. Get my subscribers up there so I can start doing more shit with the channel.
I got to tell you, I have my video from the slot limit tournament. That's going to be dropping this week. I just got to finish editing, getting all that stuff together. I in that video, and in actually the last one too, I let it slide that there is a giveaway coming at 1K. So we get up to 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to do a special video that'll be an entry. You go ahead and comment. We're going to go ahead and set it all up and make it happen, make it good. And I'm going to try and do my part to give a little bit of a bonus to anybody who enters the giveaway and is subscribed and all that. That's a jig head. You know, I always try to help out the Patreon following as much as I can. So give them some additional entries if possible. And I'm gonna see if we can make that happen. But I'm stoked. Pat says, if I could subscribe more than once, Joe, I would. God, that is the kind of support that we want. I love that shit. Pat, we got to get you on the implication soon, buddy. It's got to happen. I got to get Joe on the implication. You know, maybe we'll take a ride. Maybe we'll take a ride up because I the place that I fished this last weekend, you would absolutely love. I don't think it's a good idea for you to try to put the icon in there. I think it'll be sketchy for sure. We will see you guys in 7 days. If you're out there fishing, you're catching them, and you're sharing your fish pics on social media, despite what Becky says, go ahead and tag us in those posts so that we can go and show you a little bit of love, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Try and show you guys some support since you guys support the hell out of us. We appreciate you. Do us a huge favor if you could. If you have not reviewed the show or rated us either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please go ahead and do so. And even more importantly, if you've got some fishy friends in your life that you don't think that they've seen the light of Jigs and Bigs yet, you know, our goal is to really grow this to include so much more of a fam so that we can do unbelievably cool live event type stuff like. And I forgot to mention this, but last weekend I had a conversation with Zek about the next Columbus Expo. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to have a little bit of a giveaway happening. And it's going to involve your fishy knowledge. And I'm not talking about hosting another trivia night. This is going to be a whole other kind of thing, but it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So we will see you guys. More Jigs and Bigs coming up in 7 days. As always, we know that our listeners are the best and absolute most amazing community we could ever ask for. We appreciate you so much. Have yourselves a wonderful week, everybody. And we'll see you in 7 days. More Jigs and Bigs goodness. Like we always say.
Tits and ass, smoke some grass.